We've got this and the intro video, obviously. How am I too loud or? Now live.
Well, good morning everyone from Buckmore Park kart circuit near Chatham in Kent for a brand new Club 100 Sprints season. Round one here at a driver's favourite for the Club 100 fraternity. Tricky conditions though, we've had a bit of sleet here this morning. Just what you want at the end of February to kick off this new season. My name is Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the commentary box once again for the first time in 2023 is my Double Dash Motorsport media partner in crime, Howard Mitchell. Howard, great to have you back. We've not had you for BUKC so far this year, but Club 100 Sprints in its glory, Buckmore Park as the season opener. What more could you want?
What more could you want? Yes, indeed. I've not had the BUKC. It's been a bit strange for me, but it's great to be back in the comms position next to you, mate, and watching some Club 100 action. And it always feels right, to be honest, no matter which season we're covering in Club 100 action. It always feels right to be at Buckmore Park. You know, it's kind of like how F1 fans of a certain age, it's like it needs to be Albert Park, really,
Should
for
be
a season opener. It's all that. I love coming to Buckmore Park. Start of the season, as you say, mate, driver's favourite, height undulation, changeable conditions, great for a good old battle out there on track. It's a perfect place to get things going when there is no pecking order. When it's a blank slate, everyone starts from the same point coming into today, so it's just about going out there and giving it your best shot to get your season off to a start. Really looking forward to it, mate.
Very cold here, very cold. 4 or 5 degrees. We thought we'd broken through the chilly conditions, but we're kind of back to where we were with BUKC a few weeks ago. No rain forecast, but as I say, we have had a bit of precipitation of the sleetish variety as we drove into the circuit this morning. A light breeze over the circuit. And a few clouds throughout the day. So getting on top of those conditions, Howard, especially in the early heat, is going to be very important for the drivers.
It's going to be crucial, and what's more, and you'll hear a lot more about this we've already done a bit of a paddock walk this morning. You'll hear a bit about this more later on in the broadcast, but new tyres coming into this season. We've switched from Bridgestones to the Dunlop tyres for this season, and make no mistake, that does change the characteristics of the kart. And the problem here, Andrew, as you say, it's cold, it's greasy. Those are not the conditions, and there's quite a few drivers this morning. There have been test sessions, there have been the season opener, sort of non-championship event for some drivers to get their eye in on these tyres. But for a significant number of drivers today, that is a bit of an unknown coming into today as well. And these are not the conditions that I'd like to make those discoveries in.
Well, for what it's worth, the free practice session ahead of each set of races has just finished, and a name that regular viewers may not expect for me to say in lightweights went quickest with a 1 minute 5.631, reigning heavyweights champion Anwar Barul Smith. That is one of the big stories of the off-season, that Anwar has left heavyweights and gone into the lightweights for a new challenge. So we'll see how he gets on. He started the day very well. Dean Everest was second fastest, 1/10 back. Matt Wileman was third fastest. Stephen Westwood fourth, and Christopher Powell fifth. But the track evolving all the time in that 30-minute session. For returning viewers, it's broadly the same format that we've seen before. So that is, each driver will race in 3 heats. Their average grid position amongst the whole field is the same. So they'll start 1 heat from the front, 1 from the middle, 1 from the back. The only difference being if you're a C3 novice driver, similar to how we have in owner karting, the novices have their own front, middle, back, but they start at the rear of the grid to avoid a scenario where someone who's brand new to this comes into battle, shall we say, with someone who's a little bit more experienced.
Yes. Wish that rule existed when I started.
Yes. So that's how the heats will work. There'll be 12 heats. So we'll be talking about a rotation of 4 heats. So a driver will race once in heats 1 to 4, again in 5 to 8, and again in 9 to 12. That will then set the order for the finals, starting with the C final. 4 drivers can have the opportunity to repecharge from the C final into the B, 2 from the B into the A, and then the round win will be decided in that A final later on this morning and into the early afternoon, and then we'll run the same format again for the heavyweights in the later afternoon session. There are some subtle changes as well in terms of points and what you get for a heat win, what you get for a final win. We will take you through that in due course, and more actually really across the latter part of the season.
Yes.
Today it is round 1. Everybody starts on 0 points. I think I've covered pretty much all the key bits, mate. Have I forgotten everything on this Sunday morning?
If you're tuning in, for the first time, very much welcome, but hello to everybody. If you're tuning in to support a particular driver, they're going to be issued with a number plate today.
Yes.
They will have that number for the whole season. So if in the heat at the moment we only have a chance to say a kart number than a driver's name, if you're supporting a particular driver, try and learn that driver's number. That will really help you follow their progress throughout the day's racing and indeed throughout the season, because it will remain unchanged.
And if you have multiple devices at your disposal which have an internet connection, so you prime one, keep us locked here on Alpha Live on the live stream with the track feed, but live.alphatiming.co.uk/Club100, that is where you can find all the live timing information. The same live timing information that we have here in the box. Talking of the box, we also have DDMM Comms Box Cam Live active today. Hello, you've got a little bit of a different angle of us. I think you mentioned, Howard, earlier that it looks like we're about to drop our 90s rap album on the
It does.
but yeah, do follow us there as well if you've got the device availability. We've also got the live timing on the screen, the race control notes. And it's a good way of getting messages straight to us here in the box because they pop up on our little screen. We will be keeping an eye on the comments on the YouTube for Alpha Live as well, so do send your messages of support there. Good morning to David Whitehouse, who says, wow, hello. Hello indeed. Howard is alive. Yes, he is.
I am alive.
He's not been seen so far in 2023, but here he is. Let's get on with it, mate. I think I can see the drivers getting in their karts now. Let's get ready for heat number 1. Heat number 1 then of the lightweights for a brand new Club 100 season here at Buckmore Park. Here is your grid. Andrew McWilliam takes us from pole position for the first race of the year. He's joined on the front row by Nicholas Lacasas. Kim Ely and Dan Grocott start on row 2. Yusuf Bin Sahel and Chris Woodger form up row 3. Matthew Cockram starts on row 4 alongside last season's number 5 seed Dan Seeger. James Martin and Louis Stagg start on row 5, so they're inside the top 10 for the start. George Lawler and Steph Theodorou start on row 6. Andrew Rabbage and Clifton Malcolm go from row 7. Gareth Pritchard and Penny Millman start on row number 8. Chris Hancocks and Yusuf Sahayono start on row 9. And that leaves us with Tommy Lee forming up the 10th row of the grid for this 19 kart field. So, rotation number 1 starts things off with a very short number of free practice laps, because in theory there are drivers in this race, Howard, who did not take part in the free practice session.
This is their first time out there. Absolutely, their first time out there, and they're about to go. This is, I always found, an intimidating thing about sprint formats. And then you're racing. 7-minute race. That's it. 7 minutes, and there's already going to be championship points. Just to cover them, we'll start saying it now. As Andrew said a moment ago, there are some changes to how points are awarded. It's now 30 points for a heat win, and the allocation of points is non-linear. I won't go through all of the different things, but it's not as simple as, 20 points, and then we count down 1 point for each position. There is actually a slight, there's a bit more of a bias towards the win. So 30 points for the win, and then it goes down to 27 for second and 25 for third, and so on and so forth. So that's a difference there. Some other things I will just mention before we get into racing, because those who have watched for a long time might be familiar. Cone penalties have been revised going into this season. So you now get 1 warning and then a place deduction, which I think is a very popular one with the drivers, because that can be a little bit of a galling one if you just clip a tyre and it's then impossible for you to win a race. That I think is a popular change.
I like that change.
Yeah.
And particularly around this circuit where it's a circuit that's easy to pick up that kind of penalty. We have seen races decided before where 2 minutes in, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Someone's got a cone penalty, they automatically can't win the race. I like having that little bit of leeway.
Yeah, and it's not got too soft at all, in my opinion, because if you have a second offence, that's it. You're taking liberties, and you know. Other ones, just very quickly, hopefully we won't see too much of it anyway, but unsafe rejoin of the circuit has been revised as well. It used to be a straight-out exclusion. It's now actually dealt with in position penalties. If there's a contact as a result of an unsafe rejoin, it will be 6 penalties deducted, so you still definitely don't want to be doing it. And the big one here, weaving, braking formation ahead of the start. JV very clear in the driver's briefing this morning about this one, actually. They are really monitoring that one now. It's not just about, did you have a jump start? Are you braking formation ahead of that start line? In that case, it'll be 2 positions deducted. So slight revisions to the rules. Hopefully it's going to be all clean, mate, so we won't be talking about it much. But we do see that cone one come up, so that's an important one to bear in mind that we're going to have to get used to. So yeah, just a few little tweaks and things just to make things a little bit better, a little bit tidier, a little bit more proportionate, I would say, on the rules. And yeah, that's all the sort of technical stuff in the rules to bear in mind coming into the new season.
Hello in the YouTube chat to Stevie Hicks, who's heard that Anwar is going for a domestic double in the classes. But he's not on the entry list for heavyweights today, so we'll remain to see on that one. Hello to Oliver Payne, who's cheering on Harrison Earl. Hello to Tim Penny as well, says, in the interest of your health, I haven't brought Jaffa cakes with me today, but I can pop to an undisclosed supermarket if you've got capacity for them. Well, we've already had last night in the hotel a delivery of very lovely donuts to us, so we good, Tim, we good. We still, this is for a public service announcement for anyone from the BUKC. Please don't bring any of the Jaffa cakes to GYG in a few weeks' time. You brought so many of them to PFI, I still have stores sufficiently stocked for GYG. No Jaffa cakes. Now, Victoria sponge cakes are allowed, though.
Now, you realise, I can say this because I'm not doing BUKC, you realise that the result of that comment just then, mate, is either a significant reduction in the number of Jaffa cakes, or
I have a suit that I need to fit into on the 11th of March for the Buckmore Park Awards evening. Please, no more Jaffa cakes. Hello to Michael Burke from the Land Down Under. He's tuned in for the start of the new season. Joe Craddock as well, Amy Breacher, and Greg Smith. Thank you, guys. Thank you for getting in contact with us. And keep your comments coming in. Are we ready for a go then for this first race?
No, we're going around again.
We're going to go around again. So, rolling starts here in Club 100.
You know I've got my mind on Club 100, mate. When you say the phrase land down under, my head goes, Landau?
Landau?
Nunder? What's that? Land? We're on it.
We are indeed. So just to remind you of the grid, it's quite an interesting grid this, in that you've got quite a few C2s at the front, the C1s in the middle, and then some more C2s behind them before we then get into the novice section of the grid. But the 104 of Andrew McWilliam will take us from pole position. Nicolas Lacasas returns. He's in the 91. It's P2.
I don't want to do him a disservice. Is McWilliam a C3 up to C2 of this season?
I think he is. He's indeed.
Which would make it the first pole, right?
Yes.
Because if you've just jumped up from C3, you're now not part of that novice subgroup at the back of the grid.
Yes.
So for anyone who's made that jump to C2, sorry to Andrew if I'm doing him a disservice there, and this isn't the case, but I want to say that we've not seen him on pole before. It is a way to start your season.
A damp Buckmore Park on slick tyres, of course. You don't want those treaded tyres around here.
Slightly interesting. I'll just check if we are good for the start, because we went round the hairpins that time.
We did. There was one driver off towards the back who is now in position at the back of the field. I think it was Tommy Lee. We have got a thumbs up. Ready to go then in 2023 for the Club 100 Sprints Championship. Eyes on those lights, waiting for them to go green. There they go, and away we go for Lightweight Heat 1, start of a new Club 100 Sprints season. Good start for McWilliam at the front of the field. Everybody looking pretty well behaved through the first couple of corners, through Conway's, through Henry's Bend. Into hairpin 1 we go. This is where it can get a bit interesting. Couple of drivers running wide. I think there was at least one spinner towards the back, but apart from that, that's a pretty good start, Howard.
Yeah, relatively clean there. We'll just check on timing as they come through who that was. Who fell a cropper a bit at the back there, but actually that was fair. I don't even know if that was contact actually, or just someone getting out onto the greasy stuff.
Kim Ely's come to the front of the field early on. Kim got it all right in hairpin number 1 as other drivers ran wide, so it's the number 80 coming down the hill.
James Martin.
Yeah, James Martin has spun in the middle of Simon's sweep. At least in these conditions, Howard, as Steph Theodorou's had a great start there in the yellow and orange helmet. He was already up to P4. Where did he start? He started down in 12th place. These trickier conditions, if you are James Martin and you do have a spin, there is more opportunity for you to pick up some positions later on in what is still a very short race. But end of lap number 1 then. Ely leads. Lacassa second, Theodorou already up to 3rd. Now looking at 2nd place. Andrew McWilliam 4th, and Yusuf Bin Sahel there in the red and silver suit in 5th place. Now trying to get it hooked down the inside. Good move there from Yusuf Bin Sahel up to 4th. Yeah,
a bit of housekeeping. I believe it was Dan Grocott who was your spinner at hairpin 1, along with James Martin. Those are the only 2 carts I'm aware of who was facing the wrong way, side by side between Steph Theodorou and Nicholas Lacassas, and that's a Theodorou's on a mission out of the traps here, isn't he?
This is where experience, I think, will really, really tell. Steph Theodorou has raced in this championship for many years. He's done many laps around this Buckmore Park circuit. And yet, Kim Ely has spun down at paddock. Oh, he's going to lose a lot of positions here. Takes to the runoff, which is the safe thing to do. A shake of the head there from Kim Ely. That is a costly mistake that has lost. It was looking good there in the early stages. For at least being in the fight for a race win, but has now handed that lead over to Steph Theodorou. And right, as I said, experience, knowing when to push, knowing what this track's going to do underneath you in these conditions, very important today. Kim Ely didn't quite get it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Worth mentioning the C1 runners who are trying to come up through the field here. Chris Woodger leading that charge. That's the bit of housekeeping we didn't do at the start. Red number plates on our Class 1 runners in the field. The black number plates are your Class 2s and Class 3s. So exactly the same machinery. Totally the same machinery, all scored together. However, on balance, we would expect those Class 1 runners to rise up to the top through the field based on their experience and successes in previous seasons.
Penalty, the first one of the season. It is the number 91. It is Nicholas Lacassas for a jump start. Those tend to be pretty clear cut. There is a tolerance allowed on them. But if you break the timing beam too early when you're in P2, very easy to do round here at Buckmore Park, but the right is still given to pole position driver. They decide when to go. They must cross the line first, that they're doing now for the start of another lap, and Nicholas Lacassas didn't quite get that right. That'll be a 2-place penalty, I believe, at the end of this race. I say believe because...
two places for every row.
For every row, yeah.
Track limit warning coming in for Tommy Lee. Worth bearing in mind here at Buckmore Park, there's Yusuf Bin Sahel's going here for 2nd place through hairpin 1. And can't quite get the traction to make that one stick against the 91 of Lacassas. Always worth mentioning with Buckmore Park, you look at it and go, okay, we've got a lot of runoff here, but those track limits are... Oh, and that's round for Lacassas! And was that contact? I couldn't tell from the camera angle there whether that was Bin Sahel giving a nudge on the rear right or that was just Lacassas losing it. Would not be the first person we've seen in this race losing it through Simon's sweep.
So I'm guessing here, I took my eyes away for a second, that it's going to be rear axle over rotation. He runs wide.
Oh, no,
there
was
was
contact. Yeah, I just
there
picked that up
was
late.
contact between second and third place. Yusuf bin Sahel acknowledging the mistake there.
And it's kind of, I feel for Yusuf there, because he would have just turned in and just got the classic understeer in these greasy conditions. Slick tyres, if we haven't mentioned it already, that the drivers are on here. We do not change to wets in Club 100. It's all on slick tyres, which is part of the challenge, part of why we love the changeable conditions here. But still that battle goes on. But now, rather than over second place, it's over, what is that, fifth or sixth? Sixth, I think.
Yes, it is. Seventh. No,
seventh, indeed.
All the way down
okay,
to
okay.
place.
But yeah, just to finish the point on track limits, a lot of tarmac runoff here at Buckmore Park. I still say this, Buckmore Park for me is a real benchmark for me in safety.
Yes.
With the barriers around this circuit, you will see no tyres. You'll see this is all proper, the proper tech pro stuff, the proper barriers all the way around the circuit here, and also a lot of these tarmac runoffs. You are allowed to straddle the white line. You are not allowed all four wheels over the white line. It's nice and simple.
But importantly, I would say, as someone who experienced it before, before those changes were made, and the scars to prove that you can have a bit of a shunt round here.
Absolutely
it
can.
hasn't lost the character, this circuit.
Yep.
It still is, as it was, still great fun to drive. Cone warning for Dan Seeger. So there's a little bit of a change.
First ever cone warning.
First ever cone warning. This is not a penalty.
Yep.
So yes, Dan Seeger has clipped a bit of the track furniture out there, but unlike in 2022, that is not a penalty. But clip another piece of track furniture, it will be the one place deduction that we're familiar with from previous years of the BUKC.
Absolutely. Fastest lap of the race with Andrew McWilliam in that 1:04. Started on pole, doing really well so far to stay in that third place. Did we cover Chris Woodger getting up to second? I feel like that's happened without me.
This is making me feel a little bit smug, because the evidence of experience is coming to the fore here, that you've got two very, very well-versed drivers at the front of the field. Dan
Seeger's got by Andrew Rabbage.
Yes,
we just saw them side by side, and your camera shot up towards Garda, and he got that move done. So as they cross the line, Dan Seeger will be confirmed as moving up to fourth. There it is on your timing tower. And does it with the fastest lap of the race as well, as the circuit will start to grip up a bit more here. This part they're going through now, that first sector, is typically the last part of the circuit to grip up. Yeah, the circuit is getting faster here as we are hitting 0 on the clock.
Yep, no +1 lap in Club 100 Sprints, so this will be the final lap. We are into the 1:04s now. We didn't see any of those earlier on in the practice session. Hello to Andy Hicklin. He's cheering on Dan Seeger from everybody at Donington Park. But Steph Theodoru, what a way to start your season. Started 12th on the grid, and the thing with that is, that was Steph's starting from the back race.
Yeah.
And he's going to get the maximum haul of points in a heat. He's gained 11 positions. Thank you very much, Adam. Look at the lovely new graphics we've got here at Alpha Live this season. And a lovely start for Steph Theodoru. One race, one win for the number 85, and a little bit of a dance over the line as well. Chris Woodger takes second place. Great drive from Andrew McWilliam as well to third. Dan Seeger fourth. Fifth for Andrew Rabbage. George Lawler is sixth. Then we get into the part of the field where it just didn't go their way. Nicholas Lacassa seventh. Yusuf bin Sahel eighth. Kim Ely ninth. Matthew Cochran comes home in 10th. 11th for James Martin after that spin. So he did get back past a number of drivers from that first lap spin. Yusuf Sohoyono was the top C3 home in 12th. Tommy Lee, good drive from Tommy Lee from the back of the field, finishes 13th. Dan Grocott had a spin as well, finishes 14th. Gareth Pritchard 15th. Chris Hancock 16th. Louis Stagg 17th. Penny Millman 18th. And Clifton Malcolm bringing up the rear in 19th place. Well, there we go. A win to start the season for Steph Theodoru. Let's get ready for heat number 2. Heat number 2 then, and this is a very interesting grid, because returning to Club 100 Sprints action is your pole sitter, Robert Newman, former BUKC Individual Drivers Champion. and ran very well in this series a few years ago. Great to have him back, and he starts this race from pole position. Jeremy Deeks alongside him on the front row, Callum Martin and Justin Draper on row 2, Hussein Rashid and James Dunnett start on the 3rd row of the grid. Josh Wood and Dean Everest go from row 4. Samuel Essery and Michael Reeder start their season on row 5. Sam Lovelace is back in sprint action as well. Starts alongside another returner, former champion Ed Bars. They go from row number 6. Tony Philbin and Joe Ratcliffe go from row 7. Ryan Williams and Harrison Earl start on row 8. Isaiah Eguagu and George Oxford start on row 9. And Alex Rule completes the 19-cart field. Very interesting grid, this one, Howard. 2 Goliaths, shall we say, of sprint racing in previous years, both in this race, but both at opposite ends of the grid in Robert Newman and former champion Ed Bars.
Yeah, and as you say, Sam Lovelace in this as well. It's great. It's great to come back for a new season, people rejoining us. You know, obviously people they have, you know, other things going on in life. Sometimes maybe they'll take a step back, but what's lovely is that they'll always come back to join us again, and they always are welcome to do so. So it's great to see, but it's going to be, for us as spectators, it's fascinating to see how they're going to get on against, you know, the competition's moved on, new people have come to the fore. It's going to be interesting.
Time to get those old BUKC skills out, I think, for Rob and Ed and others in this race.
It's the right time of year.
It's the right time of year in these greasy conditions. Hello to Ben Paynes and Reverb Racing, both cheering on Harrison Earl in this, what is his debut in Club 100 Sprints. So one of our C3s starting 16th on the grid.
Yep. Going to be an interesting one within that Class 3. We've got quite a few Class 3s in this one, actually 6. Class 3 runners in this 19-cart field.
If you're enjoying the stream, if you're enjoying the racing, do make sure that if you haven't already, give that subscribe button a press here on Alpha Live, and the like button. Shout out on your social medias with your friends and family. Let people know that we're kicking things off for Club 100 2023 here today at Buckmore Park. There is a lot of other racing going on as well.
Yes.
Don't go watch them, because we're live and we're here and we're better. Hashtag not biased. But Wilton Mill Kart Club kicks off their season today. John Ratcliffe and Anthony Jordan on comms duties for them. And if you want something a little bit different to your karting, over at Silverstone, you've got the Classic Sports Car Club winter warm-up in action. So as I say, plenty to watch. Keep it locked here with Club 100, but at the end of the day, if you just want to watch a little bit more, you've got 2 streams open to you that you can go back and watch at your leisure, free of charge.
And it's worth saying as well, if you want more Club 100 action, there's been a BUKC going on.
Yes.
British University's Karting Championship, which for a couple of decades now has had Club 100 machinery powering it. Very tightly knit together. Club 100 event runners for the BUKC have been for a number of years. They actually increased their association about half a decade ago. Alpha Live's been covering all of that as well, with my good commentary colleague stood to my right here. So head on over to the Alpha Live YouTube channel and check out the British University's Karting Championship. So far, it's been good.
It's some of the racing this year has been really good. We had a couple of sprint races at PFI, which were already race of the year contenders. Hello to all of our BUKC watchers. Now, was that a signal that we're going round again? Yes, we are.
Yes, I think we are going round again. So Rob Newman will have one more lap to wait. There he is in his distinctive orange lid.
The orange Smarty helmet is back.
He's even got the number 13 plate. It's
well, that's brave.
So there you go. Was as Andrew says, very successful driver in the BUKC, and indeed has had good runs. He was a mainstay of the Sheffield crew, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Was Mr. Newman, and really took that team and put it on the map. It's great to see him back. Going to be interesting. Jeremy Deeks alongside.
Don't worry, that was not a rogue driver. Well, it was.
Well, it was.
But it was Sam Dimolo doing his testing duties, going around the outside there. I think we are now good to go then for heat number 2.
Yep, so Newman will lead them up the hill through Cafe Corner here, which is one of the 2 blind corners here at Buckmore Park alongside Simon Sweep. You don't see it until it's right on top of you. They'll try and slot into these tram lines, and it'll be eyes on the lights and engines, notes rise.
Here we go then. Heat number 2 underway. And all of these drivers get their season underway. Good start for Newman down the inside. Takes the initiative early on. Them all squirreling through. Henry's bend there, trying to go 2 wide. 3 wide drivers being forced out wide. It looks like Hussein Rashid's had a good start. Bit of contact through hairpin number 1. Samuel Essery's in the mix there as well. But I think we're all through. Oh, there's nope, sorry, that's a Tesla driver that I'm just spotting there. But good start for Rob Newman. That's what he would have wanted. And he's taken off the front of the field already. You can see Ed Barr's trying to fight through as well, as they're nearly 3 wide through the S's there.
Oh, they're going to be 3 wide into Simon Sweep as well. This could get interesting, and we've seen people have errors there. There is a driver around facing the wrong way. It's the 60 of James Dunnett who's gone round there through Simon Sweep, already underway again. And I did see another spinner at the back. I think it was one of our Class 3 novice drivers who check through on time. I have to say, as I was watching them approach hairpin 1 there, Andrew, I think it was Justin Draper. I've never seen so many corrections on the wheel going in a straight line towards hairpin 1. No, it is greasy out there.
It is very, very greasy. It's deceptive how little grip there is out there at the moment. End of lap number 1, though. Newman leads. Callum Martin. Here comes Ed Bars as well. Former champion in this series.
That was beautifully judged with the grip on the inside, I've got to say. Looked like he was going to skirt wide there, but just managed to hold it together.
Trying to do the switchback there. See Samuel Essery in the mix.
I'm afraid it was Justin Draper who was actually the additional spinner after Simon Sweep. Oh!
Samuel Lovelace, just it's like he apparated suddenly on the apex of hairpin number 2. That wasn't really an optical illusion, folks. That was just good driving from Sam Lovelace. And look at the extreme lines that Ed Bars is trying to use there. Has got a contact warning for his troubles. There is a penalty as well.
Move for the lead. Callum Martin down the inside of Rob Newman. And what's happened there, Andrew? Because
no, Newman's disappeared off the front. That was on Hussein Rashid, I think.
Oh yeah, apologies.
2 orange helmets.
2 orange helmets. Thank you.
Good start as well for Isaiah Guagu, who's already up to P12 as leader of the C3s. Here's Hussein Rashid trying to get back down the inside of Callum Martin through Conway's. Good move there, but here comes Ed Bars advancing on them, and we'll try and shape something up into, I imagine, hairpin 2 as Martin fights back on Hussein Rashid there. Track limit warning for Sam Lovelace.
Ed Bars are going to smell the opportunity with these 2 battling in front of him.
Yep. Martin will switch back off of hairpin number 2. Which kart is Ed Bars going to choose to help out? He's going to try and go around the outside of Callum Martin. You see Hussein Rashid tapping his head there, Howard, to try and communicate to Callum Martin. Let's work together. Let's think about this, because Rob Newman has disappeared up the road. He's got a 5-second lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, Callum Martin's going to tuck underneath. He's made the calculation that Rob Newman is too far up the road, and that this is the battle. This is his hill to die on in terms of this. Yeah, exactly that. They're going to be side by side up the hill again, because that's good run off the corner for Rashid. Ed Barr's biding him time here. He's going to try and get a good run towards turn 1. He's going to tuck in behind Callum Martin, go side by side with Rashid. Rashid was all squirreling over the exit curb of Cafe, and that is position changed. Ed Barr's up to 3rd place, Callum Martin up to 2nd, and Barrs has got a beautiful line through 1 and 2 as well, which is surely going to set him up for a bit of a go. Hold station for hairpin 1. But I'll be intrigued to see what he does into 2.
Sam Lovelace is coming into it as well. Blue suit and the dark blue helmet.
Oh, so
and Josh
wide.
Wood. But he'll be trying to get the launch off of the corner.
And it's working.
And it's working indeed. Up the inside. Beautifully done by Ed Bars.
That was a masterclass in use of the wet line through the hairpins. It's always a bit more tricky, I think, through turns 1 and 2. Indeed, I feel like at the moment, look how wide Ed Bars is going, and yet see the exit speed that he's getting off of these corners. And this is fascinating to see how he's just making that wet line work for him around this Buckmore Park circuit. I honestly feel, I mean, the way I describe wet weather and greasy weather driving like this, Andrew, it's not worse or better, it's different. The challenge is different. I've got to say, for me personally, Buckmore Park is one of the most fun circuits to do that, because you're just holding it. You can see Ed there just holding onto the grip into 1 and 2. the lines change. You got Dan Seeger now trying to take that wider line through 1 and 2. And that's going to pay dividends for him on this occasion into hairpin 1. But in going down the inside of hairpin 1, he's on a compromised line there. It all gets really fascinating for me in these kind of conditions.
A couple of penalties to note for both Hussein Rashid, the number 40, and the number 8 of Samuel Esri. You'll have seen TLADV come up on your screens. That means race controllers judge them to have taken advantage by exceeding the track limits.
Yep.
Whether that be defending a position or gaining a position. So that'll be deductions for them at the end of the race. There's Josh Wood in the red suit and the black helmet. He's trying to get away past Hussein Rashid now. This is for 5th place on the road.
Shout out to Ogwegu, Isaiah Ogwegu, one of our novice drivers, has come to the front of those novice drivers and knocking on the door of the top 10 as well. So good drive there within our Class 3. This is denoted by the blue number plates on your timing tower. They don't have blue number plates on the karts. Mind, it's black number plates for both the Class 2 and Class 3 runners, unfortunately, in terms of denoting them. But good drive there from the number 27, and Ryan Williams as well, doing well to follow through with him as well there in 12th place. So they're having a good opener to their season.
Pace is improving. Newman is into the 1-minute 2s as here comes Rashid down the inside of Callum Martin, swapping positions again in this battle that has gone on throughout the whole of this race.
Track limits penalty, unfortunately, that just showed there for Josh Wood, although I'm not actually seeing that confirmed on our timing in front of us here. A warning for Michael Reeder as well. There's still that battle goes on, and Dan Seeger and Ed Barnes. For me, Andrew, these two of the drivers who we've seen over the course of this race, these two have shown their experience by being so much bolder with those wet lines. You know, you see their line into hairpin 2 and you think, you're like, are they still planning to stay within Kent? And they are. It works. It's so much more abrasive on the outside of hairpin 2. And look at this line from Dan Seeger here, going through 1 and 2, getting that late apex, sort of going back towards the apex, coming out of Henry's Bend, and then again, nice and wide of apex here into hairpin 1. And this is the one where you really have to be bold. Go to the outside there. That's so wide from Ed Bars there into hairpin 2, but it works. You've got to keep the faith going into hairpin 2, and you will get the turn in. You will get the turn in, and you'll get a better drive off the corner as a result. Here as well, we've seen Ed Bars going really bold. Now starting to tuck in a little bit more, maybe sensing there's a bit more grip on the conventional line there now is Ed Bars compared to the start of the race. I have to say, though, we are focusing on all of this because, in fact, we're on the last lap, and is Rob Newman coming up the hill now?
He is to
take
the win. Newman is back. Robert Newman takes a very, very good victory there from pole position. And there's not many races that you will see this year won by 10 seconds in the Sprints Championship. Ed Bars, on his return, takes P2, 3rd for Sam Lovelace, 4th for Callum Martin, 5th for Samuel Esri. Should note, these are provisional positions because there are some penalties in that race. 6th for Josh Wood, 7th for Dean Everest, 8th for Jeremy Deeks. Great drive from Isaiah Egwagu in 9th.
Sorry, Rob's already parked in the pits. That's crazy.
10th for Hussein Rashid, 11th for Justin Draper, Brian Williams 12th, Michael Reeder 13th, George Oxford, Tony Philbin, Harrison Earl takes us down to 16th, and then James Dunnett over the line there in 17th. Alex Rule and Joe Ratcliffe completes the field. Let's get ready for heat number 3. Have a look at the grid then for heat number 3, and this is another interesting one. Andrew Ward takes us from pole position, and the reigning heavyweights champion, now in lightweights, is there alongside him on the front row. The number 10 of Anwar Barul Smith will be looking for a race win here. Oliver Johnson and Keith Segal back once again there on row number 2. Luke Phillips and Adam Britton on row 3. Stephen Westwood was one of the most improved drivers of 2022. He starts 2023 on row 4 alongside him. It's last year's runner-up, Mike Coppin. Joshua Sangster and Ben Lambeth go from row 5. Charlie Summers and Dante Dillon start on row 6. Christopher Powell and Adam Sheargold start on row 7. Patrick Millman and Mortaza Hassan on row 8. Thanos Savella Lakakis is there on row number 9 alongside Cameron Williams. And that's your field, 18 karts in it.
Now, Mr. Ward, pole sitter in this one.
He's not a DDMM
He's not actually
Barnstormers driver anymore.
He's not a DDMM Barnstormers driver.
No, we haven't.
We haven't. But it is true.
Us.
It is true. Not a DDMM Barnstalls driver this season. Has in the past noticed patterns between being featured on streams.
It's all going to be fine. 2023.
Well, no, I've already interviewed him in the paddock walk.
No, why have you done this?
Because we've got to break the duck. We've got to. It's not true.
Hey, we did. He got a podium last time we were
Exactly. It's actually a good luck omen for him now. So there we go. And I'm sure how he wanted to start his season was starting alongside the reigning heavyweight champion.
It's fine.
It's fine. Be fine. But no, going to be interesting. In all seriousness, going to be interesting to see how Wardy does this year.
Yeah.
You know, had some really good results last season. You mentioned that podium. And it's going to be, it's an interesting grid, this one. You've got Chris Powell and Dante Dillon starting towards the back of the non-novices.
You mentioned Dante. One of the things and just as I say that, round one, race rust hasn't quite been scrubbed off yet sometimes for some of the drivers. I would very much expect that not to be the case for Dante, because he's been racing in BUKC and did take a race win in BUKC here a matter of weeks ago, so he's definitely got himself in the zone. Hello to Ludicrous Bacon, who's cheering on Anwar. David Whitehouse asks for how are penalties applied. They're from the back. I.e., if you're... And the purpose behind that, we always say, is if everybody but one driver gets a penalty in a race, and that driver finishes, the clean driver finishes last, they win the race. It's always applied from the back first.
Yep.
The idea being that to win a race in Club 100 Sprints, you've got to do it penalty less.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. So, not that that'll happen, but as in, everyone's going to be very well behaved, and not everybody's going to get a penalty. But yes, that is the theory behind it. You are rewarded for your clean driving in Club 100. Always have been.
Good morning to Carter Inskip Clarkson, who's looking forward to racing in Club 100 Cadets later in the season, which we will be bringing you coverage of. Hello to Kieran McGinley, who I'm going to give a shout out to, because if you're on the DDMM comms box cam, you may see this below us. Very excited to be back for the Buckmore Park 24 Hours with Kieran in April. Very much looking forward to that. And hello, Jimmer. Jimmy Broadbent in the chat with us as well. Good to hear from you, mate. But here's your grid. Andrew Ward on the left-hand side, the number 6. Anwar Barul-Smith, new helmet colours.
I've just seen that poll in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I clicked lightweights, didn't I?
You did that.
Biased. I may not be a lightweight anymore, but I was a few years ago. That's where my allegiance lies.
I have to log on so I can vote now.
But no, really excited some of the events that we've got coming up. We've got BUK CSA, the season going on there. Super One as well for DDMM and Alpha Live, and the Buckmore Park 24 Hour. All good reasons to subscribe and follow.
Yes.
Here at Alpha Live and over at Double Dash Motorsport Media. Are we ready, Howard, for a go for
I think
Heat 3?
we are good for a go. So it's going to be the number 6 of Andrew Ward on your right, and indeed drives right now your left, who's going to pull them away as they get underway here for heat number 3 and into turn 1. It's a bold start there from Oliver Johnson. Anwar Barul-Smith is very wide, and Keith Segal goes round but gets corrected by those around him. Possibly the scruffiest start we've seen through 1 and 2, but it is Johnson who's to the front, but now it's Mike Coppin who slips down the inside at hairpin 1, and it's Coppin from Ward somehow after that opening series of exchanges. Anwar Barul-Smith there for me, Andrew, the shot there going out very wide at 1 and 2, and having to pick up the pieces on the rest of this opening lap as Chris Powell is very wide. He's going to claim force majeure because it went 5, even 6 wide heading towards the chicane.
That was an interesting one. We'll leave that there, but Mike Coppin leads. With Andrew Ward still there in second. I think Keith Segal was spinning in the middle of Symes Sweet.
Is Dante Dillon up to 5th?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the case. This is what Dante's been doing all year. And this is the thing with race rust off for Dante.
Yep.
You know, he's been doing those BUKC races where he's got to drive from 32nd on the grid and pile through. He's done that indeed as the sun starts to come out. Right, let's just catch our breath after that first lap.
Yeah.
Coppin leading, Ward second. There's the number 21 of Stephen Westwood down the inside on Luke Phillips. Any penalties? Yes, Ben Lambert's got a black flag on lap number 1, so that really is a race ruiner for Ben Lambert. Contact warnings for Keith Segal and track limit warnings as well for Oliver Johnson and Andrew Ward.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was even more that happened off the back of that sideways moment for Keith, but he has gone to the back of the field, I'm afraid. So Keith Segal down in 18th place and looking to pick up the pieces for the remainder of this one, as Anwar Brule-Smith and Dante Dillon are on the tail of Oliver Johnson, your highest placed Class 2 runner at the moment, hence why he carries the black-backed number board. Goes for the wide line through Garda, but Anwar Brule-Smith knows that he can do a bit of a block pass there and might have better drive on the outside of the centre S there and up the hill towards Cafe. He's still side by side with him, and he's going to bring home the advantage there on the outside. Very, very well-structured move there by Anwar Brule-Smith, and now Dante Dillon is going to try down the inside in the number 3. He'll squirrel wide slightly in these greasy conditions. Oliver Johnson will try and tuck back underneath in the 84. He will have the inside, but it is at the moment, Andrew, as the sun's beating down this circuit, this for me is where we start to see on certain corners a crossover point starting to form between the wet and the dry lines.
Yeah, the track changes here at Buckmore Park very quickly. It's one of the things that, as Jimmy says in the chat, makes this place a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's still going on. Johnson was able to get better drive off of hairpin 2, but look at Dante's drive down the hill. Can he keep that together through Sime Sweet? Yes, he can, and I think that will be job done for Dante Dillon after a battle which took a good half a lap there. That was fun to watch.
It was indeed, and now they'll try and set about catching up to Brule-Smith and Ward ahead. Mike Coppin likes this place. Won the A final the last time we were here for sprints in November, culminating his season with the second of his 2 A final victories in 2022. And driver number 2 has just set a 59.268, so we've gone under the 60-second barrier for the first time today.
Yeah, just like that, the top 3 drivers, Coppin, Ward and Brule-Smith, all dropping below that 1-minute mark. Everyone else trying to get that low on their lap times at the moment. Dante Dillon clearly a bit frustrated with how costly that battle with Oliver Johnson had been, which Oliver was within his rights to have that battle, but it has definitely been costly for both their races in terms of keeping on terms with these two. Andrew Ward and Anwar Brule-Smith started side by side on the grid. I'd say Anwar's got to be a little bit careful about track limit warnings in his line there through the latter part of Symes, but he's going to try and go up the inside here of Garda. And that was a textbook move there from Anwar. So long as he can get better drive up the hill, that was a beautiful move and takes the reigning heavyweight champion in this lightweights heat 3 race up to 2nd place.
A penalty, number 84, sorry, for Oliver Johnson. Too many times beyond track limits as Christopher Powell looking for away by Luke Phillips there.
That takes him out of the net class lead for Johnson once that penalty's been applied. Luke Phillips would be a beneficiary of that, as would Mr. Powell in the 23 kart there with the distinctive red and blue sleeves, asymmetric suit.
Shameless plug time. Our reigning Club 100 and BUKC iRacing C2 class champion. Why am I talking about that? Because we've got round 1 on Wednesday night over on the VDMM YouTube channel, where entries are still open. And what I'll say about Chris is he's got some free track time later in the year. He's won
That's a good point,
his efforts from last year, as he's now looking up the inside of Luke Phillips, pulls off a move, and at some point later in the season he'll have an endurance race for free to pull off more bits of racing like that.
That Garda corner for me, Andrew, is where it's most obvious that it's not a clear-cut thing here about the wet and the dry line. A lot of drivers are thinking, I'll just take it out wide. Not at Garda. You can do a block pass up the inside and make it stick. We saw Anwar do that on Anwar Brule-Smith do that on Andrew Ward a lap ago. That's a great example of where it's not always the theoretical clear-cut, do the wet line here around it, and that's what makes this track so fascinating. Here at Hairpin 2, it's still paying off. But at Garda, it's not what you want to be doing when you're in a battle.
Some of the curbs, not all of the curbs, but some of the curbs are very useful to pull the cart through the corner.
Yes.
Round here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not this one.
No.
Through paddock, there's a grate down there that you don't really want to be hitting because it just disrupts your momentum so much. Here's Stephen Westwood, the number 21. Now in a black suit. I'm used to him in a red suit. It's not the case anymore. There's a change for 3rd place there. Dante Dillon has got past
Andrew Ward with 54 seconds on the clock.
I'm really glad you mentioned that about Stephen, being as he's chasing Luke Phillips, who is in a red suit. Thank you for that one, mate. New term, new season. Got to get used to these things. Another fastest lap for Mike Coppin, a 57 dead. He's really started to ramp this up, and as you say, mate, carries that momentum off the back of last season.
Keith Segal has got a cone warning. There's Anwar Barul Smith, second place. Not going to be able to catch this man, though, who I think we will get another lap in here, because Mike Coppin will cross the line with, what do you reckon, about 8 or 9 seconds remaining on the clock. Contact warning for Cameron Williams. Bang on cue. Thank you, Mike. 8 seconds to go and a new fastest lap as well. 56.917. The track really starting to come to the drivers now.
Well, look how hard he's pushing the brakes there into hairpin 1.
But that also shows the level of grip that you're now getting into hairpin 1, that you can lock up on these new Dunlop tyres. JV won't thank him for that.
He won't, no, not at all. But well, it's an interesting one. I was talking to Mike earlier in the paddock walk, which you haven't seen yet on the broadcast. But the topic of him finishing second came up. Championship last year, second. He's in the number 2 plate. They finished second in the endurance yesterday. So Mr. Coppin is going to take a win here as he comes up the hill. I'm delighted to say, after that conversation earlier on, which you'll hear later, Mike Coppin wins and finishes first. There you go. Does happen, Mike. And starts his season off exactly how he would wish to do so. Anwar Barul Smith there. Some drivers showing some good turns of speed there towards the end. Anwar Barul Smith in second. Dante Dillon in third. Andrew Ward, having started on pole, brings it home in fourth for some solid points there. Oliver Johnson will finish fifth and highest of the Class 2s, but bear in mind he has a penalty to be applied. Chris Powell weighed it up to sixth from his lowly grid position there. Luke Phillips, Stephen Westwood, Joshua Sangster and Ben Lambeth round out your top 10. Then it was Charlie Summers, Adam Britton. Then Adam Sheargold is your highest place, your Class 3 runners. Thanos Chevalakakis. And then it's Patrick Millman, Murtaza Hassan, Cameron Williams, and then Keith Segal to round out the 18 finishers of that Heat 3.
Very good. One more heat in this first rotation to go. Heat 4 is up next.
Here we go then with your grid for Heat 4, after which all of the drivers will have contested in at least one race. Ashley White will start this one from pole with Matt Wildman alongside. Then it's Thomas Barrett and Andy Bushell on row 2. Jake Wilkins and Matt Ellis make up row number 3. It'll then be Aaron Clark and Bryn Olban, Christian Lehner and Andy Orford to round out the top 10. Russell Cooper and Sam Morris will make up row number 6. Row 7 is where we find Harrison Kirkham and Prash Alphonsus. Benjamin Sproat and James Britton are row 8 with James Browning and Jack Harley-Walsh rounding out your 18-cart field for the last heat, as I say, of this first rotation. So at the end of this, all drivers will have competed in one heat. They will all have some points on the board for 2023. And they will have fared well, fared badly, and will want to recover it in subsequent heats. You get the idea. They'll want to build on whatever they've got here. Does mean that after this, the drivers won't have any warm-up laps ahead of the next heats as well. That's got two major impacts. Number one, on the stream, we need to be more rapid with the grids.
Oh, yes.
So when we were saying...
Oh, dear.
A
technical defect for number 69. Pre-race.
Pre-race. Benjamin Sproat will be needing to go into the pit lane there. So it's unfortunate for him because he will lose out on some track time getting used to the tires. But yeah, no warm-up. So Andrew and I are going to have to read the grids quicker. And when we said that our Double Dash Motorsport Media comms box cam looks like a 90s rap video, it might actually get closer to the real thing. But more significantly for the drivers, as the conditions are changing, they're not going to have the opportunity to get their eye in on how things have gone. You know, if you were out for Heat 1, the track has gripped up significantly since then. And as you say, on some of the corners, we're now on a crossover point.
I'm going to hazard a guess that that is a driver's equipment technical defect flag, because the 69 has come in, had a quick adjustment of something, and gone straight back out again. There's nothing on the kart that looked out of the ordinary there, so no worries there. Might have been a suit zip or helmet strap undone.
Helmet strap would be the classic.
Yeah. Yes, everything seemed fine for the driver there in cart number 69, Benjamin Sproat. Hello to Mike Philippou. That's my best JV endurance podium or SP60 impression. You get that one for free. It's cheering on, I'd imagine, Andy Bushell. Go on, Bushman.
Yep.
In third place. Good. Sorry, no, fourth place on this grid. Good place to be. On the outside through the first couple of corners, but a chance there from row number 2. You can see just how much speed is now in the track compared to, say, half an hour ago. Down into the 55s. Matt Wildman in this race. Interested to see how Matt does. Similar to Anwar, previously has raced in the heavyweights, has now stepped across into the lightweights.
Good point.
Has won A finals in the heavyweights, so we know in terms of that racecraft side of things, he can do the business. A good opportunity here from P2 on the grid to start his season pretty well.
Yep.
Cart's number 33. And I think we are going to go around again because there are a few drivers still not quite in the correct position. Keep the comments coming in. Give that like button a press as well if you can. Really does help us out.
Unless you've already hit it. That'll
Oh yeah, don't do it again.
We wish you could do it multiple times, but don't.
I mean, you could if you've got more than one YouTube account. Do the double deploy.
Who would do? Who would? I'll log on there.
Actually, that's a point. Actually, I don't know.
No, your supporters. Have you not liked our own stream?
No.
But no, your support is really appreciated as ever, particularly with us kicking off a new season of action here in the Club 100 Sprints. Let's get people talking about this fantastic championship early doors, because anyone who's followed it before knows it just keeps on getting better from here on in as we get towards that business end of the season as well. So do please like, share, subscribe. Let's get talking about this fantastic Club 100 Championship. We look good for an away here. Ashley White in the 44. Matt Wildman in the 33, as Andrew said, making a lightweights debut here. Away we go then for heat number 4. And there's a wide line from our pole sitter, Ashley White, into 1 and 2. And is that going to pay off? I think it is. That was a really good start there from Ashley off of the pole. Really impressed with that, and looks pretty clean through turns 1 and 2 as they go through hairpin 1 for the first time. Going 2, maybe even 3 abreast there, heading towards 2. Matt Wildman taking a slightly shallower line coming out there. Will that give him good drive off the corner? As there's plenty of jostling for position there in the mid-pack. No, it's still with Ashley White, the 44 ahead of the 33, as they swoop down through Simon Sweet for the first time. Is everybody going to hold it together now? Simon Sweet much grippier than it was even 5 minutes ago, frankly. Bryn Olban on a charge early on there. That's him trying to put a move on Aaron Clark into Garda. As they'll come through the centre S, up through Cafe here. This has been a brilliant start, though, for the front row of the grid. Ashley White and Matt Wildman lead as drivers battling away there through Garda. Let's see if there's been anyone fall off the back with that. A brilliant start from Ashley White, brilliant start from Matt Wildman, 2 Class 1 runners. And yeah, really good start there with Jake Wilkins as well, doing well, holding on to 3rd place as well in the 41. And I don't think anyone was facing the wrong way or had anything go wrong for them there on that first lap. So nice and clean as well. Now this is where we'll see, I would imagine, classic sprint tactics here. You would have thought that these top 2 won't battle too much, so long as they feel they've got even pace. But that's a very different line through centre from Ashley White, and that was the opportunity for Matt Wildman to just sweep through. Really interesting there what happened to White. Just, I'm not sure if that was intentional or just was a little bit too far to driver's right coming down the hill from Garda, but just suddenly skirted really wide through centre and allowed it through as Bryn Olban tucks underneath Thomas Barrett here for 5th place. And Aaron Clark and Bryn Olman working well here to work their way up through the field here.
So where did Bryn start this race? Is this is from the back one? It's from his middle-ish.
Middle-ish.
8th place on the grid. Thank you, Adam. Are you loving the new graphics, by the way?
It's
your first time.
It is. I love it. It's, you know, I'm still remembering, you know, late 90s F1 graphics. It's
Yeah.
the space age here for me. But no, this is really good stuff. Really nice, actually, to see the improvement genuinely that Alpha Live was able to
Matt
bring
Ellis.
around the outside there.
Matt
That
Ellis
was
take
beautiful.
a bow. Had that confidence of there's going to be grip there, there's going to be grip there, I've just got to
Was
keep
it-
my
no,
foot
sorry,
in it.
was it Matt? It was Aaron Clark. Wasn't that Aaron? Right
No, it's Matt Ellis around the outside of Thomas Barrett.
Okay, sorry. Meanwhile, though, there has been a move there from Aaron Clark as well. Now Bryn Olban challenging Jake Wilkins here over 4th place.
Change for leading C3 as well. 14th place overall. Jack Harley-Walsh has got through past James Britton.
4.5 seconds now the gap between the top 2 and Aaron Clark, Aaron Clark in that 3rd place, who's now pulling away from Jake Wilkins. Wilkins doing well to hold a charging Bryn Olban behind him so far this lap, but Bryn in that number 16 will be looking for an opportunity here on the 41. It's a Class 1 driver in the form of Bryn Olban. It's a Class 2 driver in the form of Jake Wilkins, but it's all even machinery here in Club 100 Sprints.
Interesting phase of how this circuit will develop now, because there's a dry line definitely in the bottom half of the circuit. You're going to have to get off that now to make overtakes stick.
Yes.
Where there's still going to be damp patches, and makes it in some ways a bit easier to defend.
Wide squirrely moment there for Bryn Olban. He's lost significant time there actually, and did well to keep Matt Ellis behind him. That was really interesting.
Demonstrates the point very well, that if you get off that racing line, you're going to be losing stacks of time, and the delta to those still on the dry line is going to be quite large. Aaron Clark doing a good job here, though, ahead of Wilkins.
Yeah, interesting to see there. Aaron still taking that wet line through Garda, and it kind of works if you're not side by side with somebody.
Yes.
If somebody can't prise open the door and hold you up on the exit of it, that still works in Garda. This is I'm really impressed by the drive so far from Clark, Wilkins and Olban here.
Bryn Olban responding well, has just gone purple in sector number 3, fastest driver of all. Here he goes down the inside, trying to force Wilkins off that racing line. That's what you have to do now. That's what you've got to do. You've got to take that initiative in close combat. That was very nicely done from Bryn Olban. That's him up to 4th place.
Yeah, creative solution for not going wide out of hairpin one like last lap. Well, if I just put a cart between me and the outside, I won't go wide. Worked quite well. I was impressed by that. Inside of 2 minutes, I should say, here, as Harrison Kirkham just coming onto the back of this battle as well. Keep an eye out for him in the number 12, as Matt Wallman sets another fastest lap. And the lap times are in free fall at this point, aren't they? As they really start to get that dry line forming, as you say, mate, in the second and third sectors of the lap.
I just want to note, Matt Ellis did it again. This time it was on Jake Wilkins. He loves that round the outside move, running down the little hill from Garden through Senna.
So the
He's
curb,
got that one hooked up.
it's brilliant, isn't it? And the curb is quite abrasive there, so it works.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to find that grip. You've just got to be bold in order to pull it off. So beautiful to see that from the 28 Matt Ellis, now twice in this race.
I think we have 2 laps remaining, including the one that the drivers are on. Matt Wallman in full control at the moment of this race. 6.4 seconds clear. Jake Wilkins running wide.
Yeah, chose to go off in avoidance of the bollard there. That is allowed, so long as you don't gain an advantage by doing it, which I think it's fair to say he didn't, because he was squirreling around for grip as he suddenly went on to what is a wet pit exit road, effectively. Another fastest lap from Matt Wallman. Now 8.6 seconds ahead of Ashley White here. This is really impressive stuff from Matt Wallman. He's trying to do a bit of a Rob Newman here. Here's the battle between Jake Wilkins and Thomas Barrett. And then here is the battle for 3rd place between Bryn Olban and Aaron Clark. Clark, your highest placed of your Class 2 runners in that number 50. He's going to have a look here into Garda. Feels he can prise open the door, but was just a little too far back in order to make that one stick. And indeed, therefore, has a compromised run off of the less grippy line out of Garda. It's given Bryn Olban some breathing space, and indeed there was an acknowledgement there, was there, for a warning. As it's been checkered flag, excuse me, I do apologise. Matt Warman's taken the win there ahead of Ashley White. I'm sorry, I thought we had one more to go. I do apologise. Matt Warman then taking a win on his debut in lightweights, having made the move. Ashley White in second, and it was 11 seconds the gap, with Bryn Albin in third, Aaron Clark in fourth, Matt Ellis in fifth, Jake Wilkins in sixth, and it was Thomas Barrett, Andy Bushell, Andy Orford, Harrison Kirkham to round out your top 10, Sam Morris, Christian Lehner, Russell Cooper in 13th. Then it was Jack Harley Walsh, your top finisher in the novices. We've got to look ahead already because they're already out for heat number 5. Here we go then, here's your grid for heat number 5 going into the second rotation of heats. Ed Bars and Andrew Rabbage will be your first row of the grid, with Michael Reeder and Ben Lambeth on row number 2. Charlie Summers and Jeremy Deeks will make up row 3. Then it'll be Dan Grocott and Rob Newman on row 4, with Kim Ely and James Martin to round out the top 10. Matthew Cockram and Dan Seeger are your 6th row of the grid, with James Dunnett and Alex Rule on row 7. Thanos Chevalakakis and Patrick Millman are row 8. Joe Radcliffe and Mortaza Hassan row 9, and then it's a 19-car grid, this one. Isaiah Aguegu will round out your 10-row grid. No warm-up laps here, so we're going to be into these races a lot more quickly than before, and indeed we are good for the start. So Ed Bars on your left, driver's right in that 92 will lead them away. Andrew Rabbage was looking across there to try and judge it, but it's a good start there. A bold start from Ben Lambeth in the number 9. He didn't have the strongest first heat, I don't think, trying to make his way from his lowest grid position, so he's got to go on the tack with this one, or feels the need to do so. It was a good start as well for me. Is that Jeremy Deeks who's got up high? They're going very wide out of hairpin 1, and Ed Bars has just checked out. That held up everybody there, and that was a gift for Ed Bars.
Yeah, there was a semi-spin for P2 through hairpin 1, which just bulked everybody from getting through and out of hairpin number 1. Big opportunity this for Ed Bars. Rob Newman now through into second place. There's James Martin. James Martin needs a good race here if he wants to get into the A final. A couple of drivers running wide. One of them's Ben Lambeth. The other is the number 46
Deeks, that's Jeremy Deeks.
Of Jeremy Deeks, who's had a bit of an adventure so far in this race.
Yep. I have to say, though, of all the people who might get to the head of the field, I'm like, OK, maybe Ed isn't going to romp away with this at the end of lap 1. It's Ed Bars in first, Rob Newman in second there at the end of lap number 1, and that's a gain of 6 places for Rob on the first lap.
Now, the key thing for these drivers, the majority of them were out in Heat 1, Heat 2.
Yes.
There's been a proper step change for them in terms of the track conditions. It's not been as gradual for some of the others. So you've got drivers who are going to have a bit more of a step of getting on top of the conditions compared to what they learnt, an hour ago.
Yeah, Andrew Rabbage in the thick of it here amongst the top 10 at the moment. I think he just had a bit of a moment coming off of hairpin 1 of this lap. He seemed a bit slow between 1 and 2, and I think that allowed Ben Lambert through in the number 9. Now has Kim Ely. Sorry, did I mean Ben Lambert? I think I meant Dan Seeger, actually. Got through. Yes, I did. It is the number 5 now ahead of the 25, so that was a change there earlier on in the lap. That's now confirmed on the timing tower. But Kim Ely and Jeremy Deeks, and that's contact between Deeks and Ely, and that's Ely round and in the wall. And that's going to be really galling for Kim. I think there was contact there. It was just as I was looking across from the timing screen back onto the screen. But the handle off there from Kim suggests that there was some help into that one. So
let's have another look at it.
Watch it back.
So the number 46 of Deeks is just behind. Yep, gets into the rear
yeah.
I think what's happened there is Kim has braked earlier than Jeremy's been expecting, and
minute.
But the thing with the top end of the circuit, as we've said, the top end of the circuit dries at a much slower rate. So it's still in that position where just the slightest little touch can send you round through hairpin, through turn number 1.
There also is the slightest bump as you go into that braking zone.
The kart is light at that point of the circuit.
Yeah. And you really use that as a reference point, really. You really basically feel the braking point for 1 through your backside, effectively.
Through your derriere.
Through your derriere, and that's how you judge it. And if there's just a slight difference in, at that, bearing in mind, as we've been saying, 1 and 2, turns 1 and 2, the last parts to dry out So drivers will be taking different levels of confidence, shall we say, into those corners.
Big response has just come in from Rob Newman. I think this is because he was under attack from Charlie Summers behind. Charlie Summers, we know how good he is in terms of his positioning and his racing through the Club 100 iRacing series. Great to see him. He's a C2 driver at this level in real life in the sprints, but he's pushing Rob Newman. Rob's responded, done a 50.3 last time around. Summers a 50.7. They are visually catching Ed Bars, who's now going to need to respond because he did a 51.1 last time around.
This is great to see. Two drivers who we've not seen running a full season of Club 100 sprints for a while coming together here, and you can see here the delta, the way that it's closed. Whoa! Right away into paddock corner goes Rob Newman. He is not messing about. Ed Bars and Newman side by side up to Garda. Bars will be able to hang on to that. How good's his drive off the corner? Rob Newman is not messing around this year in Club 100. That was from miles back.
Here we go. This is the best race of the day so far. Ed Bars and Rob Newman toe-to-toe. Newman down the inside into Conway's. Gets the move done, but it's going to run wide. Oh, but there's no grip there for Bars. And he's going to be open now for a move by Charlie Summers. Defends it, recovers it well, but Rob Newman is galloping up the road again, Howard.
Yeah, absolutely. The boldness that Ed Bars had then on the brakes. Do you know what? It's almost like he braked so hard for hairpin one to kick the rear out to almost say, don't try it, Charlie. Don't you go down the inside. I may have just had a bit of a fluff through one and two, but I am still confident here. But how about that? That wasn't a gauntlet being thrown down. It was hurled at the floor by Rob Newman there. And he's away.
Michael Reeder's coming into this as well in 4th place, black suit and white helmet. Another C2 driver that we've got to keep an eye on. Really, really intrigued to see how C2 does this year in lightweights. It's a very open playbook, I think, at this stage of the season.
Agreed.
Rob Newman is just doing Rob Newman things now. A 49.263, fastest driver on a circuit.
Yep, absolutely.
We know that Ed Bars can dig deep.
Yep.
You don't become the Club 100 Sprints champion like he did a few years ago without being able to face up to adversity.
Yep. This battle, Ed Bars down to Ben Lambeth, is the biggest battle on the track at the moment. So going to be interesting to see now. Do any of them go, yeah, we can still take the fight to Rob, or when do the gloves come off in these last couple of laps, 2-3 laps potentially here? Some other good battles going on out there. Jeremy Deeks versus Matthew Cockram is nice and close there. And Dan Grocott is having a good battle as well with the likes of Patrick Millman and Mortaza Hassan at the head of their Class 3 running with in the case of the latter two drivers there.
Big lap this. There should be 2 laps to go with the time that we've got remaining. Can Bars and Summers, who are slightly quicker than Newman now, push enough to get back into the attack zone almost on Rob Newman on the last lap? Ben Lambeth is now the fastest driver out on circuit on a 48.778. He's trying to find a way past James Martin for 5th place. James Martin is getting a good score at the moment, needs it, otherwise he's going to be in one of the lower finals, having had a not so good first event already. And there's traffic now as well. The traffic doing a good job there just to keep out of the way. 10 seconds on the clock, so this will be the last lap. Newman responds back though, goes purple through sector 3.
I don't think we've seen any penalties come in for that incident with Kim Ely. I have to say, I'd have to watch it back again because of the camera shot looking at it head on. I don't know for a fact there was contact there versus just.
I think there was the slightest.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a neck rock back.
Does say is that hitting the? I mean, it would have happened incidentally right under race control, so they had the best view in the house. So their call very much goes on that one. But I don't think I've seen anything come through on that. But anyway,
Rob Newman really took this race by the scruff of the neck. He's not finishing it as the fastest driver on circuit, but crucially, as long as he can get over Cafe Corner, he's going to take a 2nd win of the day. Rob Newman very much is back in business, takes another sprint heat win. Ed Bars 2nd and set the fastest lap right at the end. That could have been one of those where if Ed had one more lap, he could have got that one back, but he takes P2. Charlie Summers, a great drive there, really drove the initiative in that race, and the speed is rewarded with P3. Michael Reeder 4th, James Martin 5th. Ben Lambeth, Dan Seeger, Andrew Rabbage, Jeremy Deeks and Matthew Cockram complete the top 10. Dan Grocott and James Dunnett 11th and 12th. Mortaza Hassan, who knows this circuit well, is top novice home in the C3 class 13th. Isaiah Eguagu 14th, Patrick Millman 15th, Alex Ruled, Kim Ely take us through to the bottom of the field. Good race that. Heat 5 done. Heat 6 is next. Let's have a look at the grid then for heat number 6. We'll be halfway through the heats programme after this one. Steph Theodorou has already had a heat win today and now has a chance to get a second from pole position. Christopher Powell alongside him on the front row. That's a teammate, an endurance teammates front row there. That's going to be interesting. Louis Stagg and Andy Orford start on row 2. Russell Cooper and Nicholas Lacasas on row 3. Anwar Barul Smith has his middle of the grid one from row 4. Alongside him is Andrew McWilliam, Andrew Ward and Samuel Essery there on row 5. Josh Wood and Dean Everest on row 6. Chris Woodger and Tommy Ligo from row 7. And then we're into the C3s. James Browning, Benjamin Sproat, Clifton Malcolm and James Britton. That completes your field. Are we ready to go? I think we are ready to go.
Andrew Ward can grab the popcorn here and watch the 2 endurance teammates battle this one out. Away we go.
7 minutes on the clock. Good start for Theodorou. Can Christopher Powell wrap it round and take P2? That was very nicely done from Christopher Powell as everybody else fought on the inside for a bit of grip into hairpin 1. See Grocott in the middle of all of that. Anwar already pulling moves. It's at least up to 5th place. But good start here from Theodorou and Powell. The teammates now need to work together, Howard, to keep this gap back to 3rd place.
Yeah, dream start for them in many ways. Kept it nice and clean between the 2 of them and just worked to pull out the gap. The difficulty is, we've got an incident there. Significant one. Look at the damage to the barrier. There's been a big hit there on the inside of the S's in the middle of the circuit. That's unusual to see. It's unusual to see the impact there, Andrew, on the left-hander.
Someone's been pinched.
Someone's been pinched. Oh, that's true. That's true. But that's been a significant hit. Yeah.
Full course yellow. Now that is terrible news if you're Steph Theodorou and Christopher Powell.
Yeah.
Because that gap that they'd nicely worked in the first half of lap number 1 has gone. And they've now got Anwar Barul Smith to contend with in 3rd. And Andrew Ward not too happy there. He's down in 16th place. Now, the other trouble for the drivers is the timer runs on.
So I'm going to say that the drivers involved in that were James Browning and Louis Stagg was definitely involved. He's gone down to the back of the order. And Andrew Ward did lose out heavily there. Was he one of the cut? We only saw it cut away to the shot of the driver for a second.
On the 4th or 5th row of the grid, so it's gone backwards.
Okay, so involved in that as well. So, yeah. As you say, it is where you'd expect to see the damage if a driver was pinched, but that was a significant...
I think we're back to green.
Yeah, okay. They've been able to get that all repaired nice and quickly. So here's the challenge. Theodorou and Powell have got to do it again.
Yep.
And this time, they've got Mr. Barul Smith for company.
No biggie.
Yeah, no biggie. They're going to push here. And as you said last race, mate, they've got to have confidence now that these conditions have properly dried up. And the lap times that we're seeing are still coming down even further. As they come down through the hill here, they've got to try and work together here.
Penalty black flag for Samuel Essery. So Samuel Essery's race is over. Here comes Anwar Barul Smith attacking Christopher Powell now. Still good opportunities for these 3 to get good points because they've got a strong gap back to Andy Orford and Russell Cooper 4th and 5th. Christopher Powell looking to the inside. That's a bold one on his endurance teammate, and it's worked.
Yeah. Beautifully done there by Christopher Powell, and immediately Steph Theodorou can sense there's an Anwar Barul Smith hunting you down, and that is a clean move by Anwar down the inside of hairpin 1. So all change amongst the top 3 there, with not too much time lost between them so far, it has to be said. That was all relatively courteous in that battle, but it won't be how Steph would have wanted it to go down. He's now down to 3rd place. 47 of Andy Orford having a good drive so far in 4th place. Right, so you say another ABC takeout penalty, this time for Louis Stagg. I wonder if that is to do with lap 1, because Stagg dropped down to the bottom.
Possibly.
With regards
James
to that.
Browning has dropped off the back of the pack as well. As
That's
here
true.
comes Anwar Barul Smith down the inside, looking for the lead of the race, controls it through. Christopher Powell's not giving it up, though, through Henry's Bend into hairpin number 1 now, but surely it's going to be advantage Barul Smith. It is indeed. He's up into P1.
Fair play from Chris there. He really kept his foot in it there and used the full track limits as he is allowed to do there. You can see him straddling the white line. That's absolutely fine, but couldn't make it work there around the outside.
An exasperated Andrew Ward, we know he drives quick when he's angry, has just set the fastest lap of the race, even though he's down in 14th place, having been in that pack early on.
I always think him driving quickly when he's angry was the main benefit of having you and me as teammates.
Yes.
So, a lot of takeout penalties coming through here,
Yeah.
mate. Nicholas Lacasas with one as well. These are not minor penalties here. There's going to be significant changes to the final published result.
He's just got a cone penalty now. What are you doing, Wardy? Sorry, David Whitehouse, I do stand corrected. BF is braking formation, so yes, not
good
a
point.
braking.
Good
it's
point.
not a black flag.
This two-place deduction
Yep.
at the end of the race is a braking
So that's
formation.
braking formation at the start when you meant to stay in the tram lines, left and right, over start-finish. Good race this there, and good efforts from Powell and Theodoru showing their talents. They're not letting Anwar Barul-Smith get away from this.
No, this is not a clear-cut one.
There are circuits with stronger slipstream effects, but you can get one round here. We're just staying in that gap of around half a second behind Barul-Smith to take it into effect. Here's a good scrap going on. Tommy Lee, what a race this is. Up in 9th place, the C3 driver in kart 86.
Chris Wood just struggling to make hay with this one, Andrew. Just had quite a wide moment I saw last lap through Senna. There's definitely a line through Senna where it's wet, or there's a lot of dirt or something offline, and if you catch it with your right wheels, you are going to skirt wide. Still seeing that happen every so often with some of the drivers here.
There is a grate down there which by design collects the water and lets it drain off the circuit. As down the inside there goes Josh Wood. Ooh, gets on the wet patch, and Dean Everest is going to take advantage of that. Lovely. Beautifully read by Dean Everest, 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, Woodger trying to tuck underneath as well at the back there, but couldn't get the drive up the hill. So that was advantage. Dean Everest beautifully judged there to get him up into P9.
But bump and pass penalty for something else. That's why he looked a little bit exasperated over the line.
I want to. Did Josh Wood have a penalty as well? I think we've got a few penalties in amongst this pack.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one for us to keep an eye on. But yeah, another fastest lap by Anwar. We're now seriously getting towards dry weather time, it's got to be said.
We are indeed, but it's still damp offline. Josh Wood's going to look for that move down the inside again. Oh, good attempt, but it's going to lose out to Tommy Lee there.
It is, sorry, yeah. Still Chris Woodger. Chris Woodger must be getting frustrated here. It's like, I can't capitalise on these opportunities.
Well, this will be the final lap, and this has been quite routine for the reigning heavyweight sprints champion, who took the championship by 1 point over Joe Holmes a few months ago here at Buckmore Park. We did put up on the DDMM YouTube channel the comms box view of that race a few days ago, just on its own. It's a very good race. And here he comes. He's got 1 back marker ahead of him, but I don't think it's going to change the result. Anwar Barul-Smith is going to take another victory here in Club 100. And 2nd place to Christopher Powell, we'll be happy with that. 3rd for Steph Theodoru. Good conversion of grid position into points for all of those drivers. Andy Orford comes home winning that good scrap with McWilliam, Lacasas and Cooper, and is rewarded with 4th place. 5th, 6th, 7th for the aforementioned drivers. Samuel Essery 8th but has penalties. Dean Everest 9th. 10th Chris Woodger. 11th Josh Wood. 12th Tommy Lee. 13th Andrew Ward. Well, at least he has the solace of having the fastest lap in that race, but that was one to forget for Ward. Hancock's, Sproat, Britton, Browning, Stagg and Malcolm bring home the 19 kart field there for heat number 6. Well, that's halfway through the 12 heat programme for the heats phase of this morning's racing for the lightweights. Heat number 7 is up next. Getting ready then for heat number 7. All of these drivers, this is their 2nd heat. We'll just wiggle the graphic there for heat number 7. Sam Morris starting from pole position. Tony Philbin alongside on the front row. Christian Lehner and Sam Lovelace on row 2. Hussein Rashid and Justin Draper on row 3. Andy Bushell goes from row 4. Joining him on row 4 is Callum Martin. Thomas Barrett and Mike Coppin complete the top 10. Adam Britton and Stephen Westwood are on row 6. Jake Wilkins and Jack Harley-Walsh start on row 7. George Oxford and Gareth Pritchard on row 8. Prash Alphonsus and Penny Millman complete the 18 drivers in this field.
I say, Andrew, this round already for me shaping up really interesting. We've seen some very dominant, very strong drives. How's this going to all be when it comes to a head in the final? It's going to be really interesting to see. Right now, though, we are ready for heat number 7. On driver's right, your left is Sam Morris, leads them away in the number 34. Moving around position ahead of turn 1 there in the mid-pack as they go 4 abreast through turns 1 and 2. But still, it is Morris at the head of the field. Strong start there from Sam Lovelace in the 79, has got himself up to second place. And Mike Coppin as well seems to position himself well there to get up into the top 4. Make that the top 3 there as they come off of hairpin 2. And Lovelace is going to try around the outside there and takes the lead off of Sam Morris. Beautifully done, and Mike Coppin is following through as well, taking the opportunity as well. Is the number 2. Really bold start there, but still a good start for Sam Morris there in the 34 in 3rd place. The 26 of Christian Lehner as well, keeping his toe in the door there in 4th place. Looks like a relatively clean lap though there, Andrew. It was a good start there. Impressive stuff there from Mike Coppin.
Yeah, really bold and aggressive from the runner-up last year. And here he goes down the inside for the lead of the race. Can he get the block done on Sam Lovelace? That was inch perfect from Mike Coppin. Takes the lead of the race. You can just see he's trying to... It looks like he's overdriving almost, Howard, but this is all about tyre temperature and getting the speed into these new Dunlops as quickly as possible to take advantage of that dry line that is now out there on circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to work these tyres hard to get that temperature in them and get the performance out of them, get the grip. And Mike Coppin has been doing the preparation for the season opener race, really tried to make friends with these Dunlop tyres nice and early on, and has got himself up into 1st place there, ahead of Sam Lovelace, who's also had a great start. That move for the lead around the outside of Sam Morris was beautifully done by Lovelace on that first lap. So as they come around to finish lap number 2, these two are now romping away at the front, it has to be said. Sam Morris, though, doing well to absorb the pressure that's mounting behind him at the moment from Lehner and Rashid, as sun continues to beat down on the circuit here at Buckmore Park. I wouldn't believe we came to the circuit to sleep this morning, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
Really quite something. In the background there I can see, I think that's Hussein Rashid challenging for 3rd place. There's definitely been a change behind these top 2 further down the order. It looks to me like at least Rashid has got himself up into 4th place. Let's have a look. It's still Sam Morrison, yes indeed. Hussein Rashid there by on... Oh, it's not Christian Lehner anymore. In fact, Callum Martin's got involved there in the number 20 as well. So it's all change amongst your main protagonists at the moment in this one in Class 2. As a penalty for Mike Coppin, ABC bump and pass. Now then, what was that one for?
I guess it would have been, it might have been one of the moves on lap 1, which has been adjudged to be too aggressive. So that will be penalties, positions deducted post-race.
This is for the lead in Class 2. Hussein Rashid trying down the inside of Sam Morris, but Morris gets better drive off of hairpin 2, heading towards the S's, hangs on to that position for the time being. And Callum Martin in that 2-0 kart, right on the tail. That's a brilliant move from Callum Martin down the inside of Rashid. Rashid feels the need to go off in avoidance. But for me, that's... someone's hit the bollard as well in the background. For me, that was firm but fair by Callum Martin. That was for a long way back.
I don't know if we can have another look at that.
It was Newman-esque for me, but that was fine for me from the number 20 as I saw it.
Let's have another look at this again, because there are rules that stipulate that you can't just run off. It's the protest. I've been hit off into... No, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair from Callum there. So I just wonder, is there going to be some remonstrations about that from race control in the direction of Hussein Rashid, because it was a noted one at the back end of last year. You do sometimes see it with that runoff available, that drivers have a little bit of an acting class and run out wide there. I think it's all right for now. But Hussein Rashid's got to be careful that he doesn't do that too much and get an advantage by track limits penalty. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is something that they're hot on here at Buckmore Park. It's not so much that he made the decision to go off in avoidance, it's whether or not he gained an advantage.
Yeah.
Earlier on today, it was so greasy over there that no one was at all gaining an advantage if they were doing it. Now that the track is, the surface is drying out in general, it comes into question a little bit more. Either way, Callum Martin is through, and it's Christian Lehner now applying pressure. No, sorry, that's on Stephen Westwood, isn't it, in the 21. As they come through paddock corner. Another Club 100 testers just emerging from the pit lane to check over one of the karts when there's a clear bit of track. He'll do so without, Dimolo will do it without affecting anyone's race, as is one of the skills I always think of being one of the kart testers here in Club 100. New fastest lap of the race from Sam Lovelace, still sticking with Mike Coppin. They are glued together at the front of this field. At the moment, the gloves have not come off with that. They're still working together to build a nice gap, but as we're now inside of the last 2 minutes here, you've got to think that if Lovelace is going to try and nab the win, the time is approaching when he's going to need to think about how he's going to do that. Still Stephen Westwood here in the 21 is holding off Christian Lehner in a battle over 5th place. The 21 versus the 26, and behind them, Tony Philbin and the 40 of Hussein Rashid, who's had a bit of drama in this one, battling away. We're back with the front runners though, Mike Coppin and Sam Lovelace. Your only 2 Class 1 runners in the field. So bold on the brakes there from Mike. As Andrew was saying earlier, probably not JV's favourite one to see, but really pushing his Club 100 Rotax Evo kart to the max here on these new Dunlop tyres we've got for this season.
2 drivers who've raced against each other for many years. Hussein Rashid now the fastest driver out on circuit, 47.016. There'll be 1 lap to go when they cross the start-finish line in a few moments' time.
I was going to say, however this one goes, Andrew, I'm still, here are 2 drivers amongst many to that. I'm looking and going, what's this going to happen in this A final when we throw them all together? It's been some really strong drives so far in amongst Class 1. Mike Coppin, though, goes on to the last lap as the leader. Can he end it as such? Fastest lap of the race from Callum Martin as well. That'll help him in his
oh, he's
battle.
gone for it.
Oh,
Lovelace down the inside through hairpin number 2. He's going to have to do some work off of hairpin 2. He's got it done. Beautifully done from Sam Lovelace. Takes the lead of the race. He already was in a race-winning position with the penalty that Mike Coppin has got, but now he's got it on the road as well. For Mike Coppin, this is about damage limitation. He switches back through Garda. What a move from Mike Coppin. There was a bit of contact and the pods got slightly locked together there, but that looked fair to me. It is still going to be the maximum points to Sam Lovelace, but Mike Coppin takes it on the road in dramatic style and gets it on the line by 600ths of a second. He doesn't keep the race win, but he will gain another position. I think he'll be classified 5th in the end.
Move of the day.
Well, 2 moves of the top two moves of the day. That's what I'm trying to get out of my mouth. That was beautiful from Sam Lovelace, and doing it here as well. But look at this from Mike Coppin. He is in a racy mood today, slinging it down the inside, keeping his kart under control. That was a proper race finish. But sadly, we have to leave it there. We've got to move on. Heat 8 is up next. Heat 8, here we are. Let's have a look at the grid. This is the last one of rotation number 2. Dante Dillon and Harrison Kirkham on the front row. Joshua Sangster and George Lawler, row 2. Yusuf Bin Sahel and Matt Wildman form up row 3. Keith Segal and Ashley White, row 4. Oliver Johnson and Bryn Alban, row 5. Matt Ellis and Aaron Clark on row 6. Luke Phillips and Cameron Williams on row 7. Yusuf Sahayono and Ryan Williams into the C3s now there on row 8. Adam Sheargold and Harrison Earl on row number 9.
2 drivers I'm looking at in this one, Andrew. Dante Dillon now starting from pole. He had a strong race earlier on. Matt Wildman had a strong race earlier on, starting from row 3. I'm going to be interested to see how they get on, amongst all the others, of course, but 2 drivers have already had a strong showing so far, and away we go then for heat number 8. Dante Dillon in the 3. It's a strong start from the anti-pole side. Harrison Kirkham is going to be round the outside and to the lead, as was that Bryn Alban spinning out. Someone was spinning out to driver's left there through turn 2. And there's a spin for Dante as well there in hairpin 2, as there's drivers out wide as well, and it's the scruffiest start we've seen, Andrew, since the track started to dry out.
Yeah, and this is the thing now, that because you've got dry patches but also still damp patches, that drivers can easily get it wrong. Yusuf bin Sahel looking for a move, pulls out of it there on the number 51 of Joshua Sangster. It's a bit of a chaotic start, this. The number 84 went for a big dive. That was Oliver Johnson down the inside. It's not paid off for him at all.
And the 72 of Keith Segal looking twitchy through Garda as well. That's been a really interesting opening lap, I'll say it that way. At the end of lap number 1 then, it's Harrison Kirkham with pressure from Matt Wallman.
Jump start pen. Jump start pen for Harrison Kirkham.
It was.
Sent it too much at the start.
Yeah. Very strong. I said it was strong from the anti-pole. It was too strong. And Matt Wallman now is going to be on the outside here for hairpin 2, where previously that would have, when it was greasy, that would have been Matt Wallman's pass right there. But it's seriously dried out now in that first sector as well. Disaster start, Andrew, for Dante Dillon. Disaster start.
Yeah, not good at all.
I think, by the way, it was...
Oh, Wildman down the inside of Kirkham, going for the lead. Kirkham's going to run out wide. But Wildman should get the position. Running out wide there was Harrison Kirkham.
I don't think it was Brun Elban who spun, although he didn't have a great first lap. He dropped down 4 places. I think it might have been George Lawler, who was your driver who skirted very wide through turns 1 and 2. Managed to gather it up before making contact with the wall, though, and has been able to continue. Matt Ellis there in the number 28, chasing Luke Phillips, and with Dante Dillon for company. He's caught in the sandwich at the moment, is behind them. Keith Segal having a good battle there with Aaron Clark, actually goes side by side. Looking at the driver in the white suit there, but just gets a little bit crossed up through hairpin 2, and I think Aaron Clark is going to hang on in there. No, they're still side by side in the... Yes! That was a lovely move by Keith. Great stuff there from most experienced driver, surely, in the field, Keith Segal. Beautiful move there from the driver, the number 72. And Bryn Olban there with a move. Now, there was contact from Clark on the bollards there.
Yeah.
That's, for me, Andrew, that's a classic one where that's why we have a warning now rather than a straight-up penalty, because I'm not sure there's much that Aaron could have done then.
Dante Dillon digging deep here and has got back up to 6th place. His next target is Yusuf bin Sahel. What is the delta like in terms of pace?
The pace delta last time around, well, actually, bin Sahel was a 47.4 last time, with Dante being a 48.1, but obviously negotiating positions with the likes of Luke Phillips and Matt Ellis last time around. So going to be interesting to see how he can go in the clean air now. There is Yusuf bin Sahel there in the 73. Another driver with BUKC experience in the Club 100 senior sprint scene. Matt Wallman now 1.4 seconds to the good over Harrison Kirkham, who, don't forget, has a penalty to be applied for a jump start at the end. It'll be 2 positions docked from wherever he finishes. So at the moment it would be Josh Sangster who has the bragging rights in Class 2 once everything has been worked out. Interesting mix this in the mid-pack here. We're looking at Bryn Alban, Class 1 driver in the number 16, Adam Sheargold, your highest placed Class 3 runner, and Keith Segal, very experienced Class 2 runner, in the battle over 9th, 10th and 11th. It's a good little battle, this, actually. So the 16, the 96 and the 72, representing all 3 of the classes that we have here within the lightweight category of Club 100, and that's a really good drive here from Adam Sheargold for me. As side by side here goes Matt Ellis and Luke Phillips there, and that's a beautiful move there by Matt Ellis to go by. That was round the outside of Henry's Bend, beautifully judged there to take Ellis up into 7th place. And for me, Matt Ellis is driving really well today here at Buckmore Park. Some beautiful moves, some beautiful battles, good racecraft that we're seeing through these heats. Penalty for Bryn Olban for forcing a driver wide.
Oh, no.
And I think...
That's Keith Segal round. He's absolutely furious with himself.
Yeah.
That shows the passion still burning in Keith Segal, but he just got a bit of over-rotation on the rear axle, too much, and that's the thing, it's still cold. It really is cold, and they're very snappy, the tyres, when it comes to, you get to that cliff edge of where the grip is, because the tyre is still cold, and it just goes on you. So that's really, really unlucky for Keith Segal.
Yeah,
Dante Dillon on the move.
Yeah, absolutely. Down the inside now of Joshua Sangster. Yeah, I feel for Keith there. He'd been having a really strong race there thus far. And I've got to say as well, that penalty that we just saw for Bryn Olban for forcing a driver wide, I wonder if that was for Aaron Clark when he collected the bollard. I wonder if it's for that one, as I just saw another driver clip the bollard on the inside of Syme Sweep. Now, that one is usually, if you're clipping the bollard on the inside of Syme Sweep, you're taking too much curb.
Yep, and it's a big
It's
curb.
a big curb. In fact, half the time you don't want to take too much because you will actually throw the kart slightly wide through Symes if you take too much of it. Matt Wildman still throwing down the gauntlet in terms of pace at the head of the field, as we've got a yellow flag out there too. Dante Dillon's arm aloft for a brief second then.
Clouds are starting to come over again as well.
They are. It's starting to get chilly in the comms position again. Dante Dillon, though, through on Yusuf Bin Sahel there is the significance of what's happened in this lap. So Dillon up to 4th place after what was a first lap for him to forget, to be frank. It was a strong start from Harrison Kirkham. We now know it to have been too strong a start from Harrison Kirkham. He's been penalised for a jump start. 3 seconds the gap that Matt Wildman has at the front. Very impressed by Matt Wildman. Going down in weight categories to the lightweights, and Andrew, as Andrew was saying earlier on, Dante Dillon with a 46.65 to set the new fastest lap. And now confirmed past Yusuf Bin Sahel up into 4th place. We're looking at Matt Ellis and Luke Phillips still close together in the battle over 7th place. They've got their work cut out, trying to catch up to the 51 there of Josh Sangster. We spoke to in the paddock walk, which you'll be able to see after we've done all the actions. Basically, during the lunch break, we'll play you the paddock walk that we did at the start of the day. You can have fun working out the continuity, discrepancies that I bring in by doing that. And Matt Wildman's won it. Matt Wildman takes the win. Harrison Kirkham in 2nd. But with that penalty to be applied. So Ashley White in 3rd, Dante Dillon in 4th, and it's Yusuf Bin Sahel, Joshua Sangster, Matt Ellis, Luke Phillips and Bryn Olban. Adam Sheargold, what a drive from him to round out the top 10 as Class 3 highest place runner. Oliver Johnson was next, and we're already going to have to look ahead here to the first race of the final rotation of heat number 9.
Let's have a look at the grid then for all of these drivers having their last heat before the finals. Dean Everest has pole position for heat number 9. James Dunnett joins him on the front row. Mike Coppin and Adam Britton start in row 2. Russell Cooper and Andy Orford on row number 3. Ed Bars and Sam Morris go from row number 4. Michael Reeder had a strong second race early. He goes from row 5 in this one with Kim Ely alongside Dan Gurkot and Andrew McWilliam on row 6. Andrew Ward and James Britton on row 7. Then we find Penny Millman and Thanos Chevalier-Lacasses on row number 8. Jack Harley-Walsh and Benjamin Sproat on row 9. Parash Alphonsus completes the 19 kart field.
I've got to apologise for keep missing these checkered flags, but in my defence, the dominance that we're seeing means it's throwing me off. It's like they're crossing the line at the
way
zero,
way
ahead of when I'm expecting, and it's just it's really interesting how we've seen that complexion to most of the races today, that there'll be a breakout winner. It's more common than it's not, as we're ready to go away then here for heat number 9. Dean Everest will lead them away in the 30. Mike Coppin straight to the inside.
Ooh,
there, and the sprinter, and that is the spin for James Dunnett, and that's going to be galling for him because that was his highest placed grid spot of the heat. Hopefully he'll get that one recovered. That is not what Dunnett needed, as they all stream through the hairpins for the first time. The 43 of Adam Britton having a look now at Dean Everest for 2nd place. As they all work their way off there, you can see them all working their way down through the hill for the first time.
Big race this. The pressure ramps up slightly if you're new to Club 100 Sprints, because this is the last opportunity for all of these drivers to get points on the board to set their grid positions for the finals. It could be the race that makes the difference for a driver, whether they're in the C final, the B final, the B final, the A final. So important to get this one right.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It is Mike Coppin with the early bragging rights here. Crikey, we've gone through these heats quickly. I felt like I was just talking about him.
Very efficient running of the event
really
so far
good
from the Club 100 staff.
Ed Bars has done well there to get to second place. Talk to him as well in our paddock walk that you can see later on. Dean Everest and Adam Britton here, your foremost Class 2 runners in the field. They come down the hill for the second time in this one.
Very hard job this for Ed Bars, because he's not got any help immediately behind. We always say in karting, 2 engines better than 1 in terms of being able to chase down a race leader, which Mike Coppin is at the moment. But it's not beyond Ed Bars to be able to close in that kind of gap, but he's going to have to work really, really hard. Down the inside, Adam Britton having a look there at Dean Everest. Dean Everest sees it coming. Yeah. Well defended there from Dean. Could have turned in, could have made it scrappy. Just held himself out wide. Absolutely. Not too wide that he got on to get on the wet stuff. Just held that speed around the outside and got it done on the second corner, Henry's Bend. Keeps third place. Absolutely. You can do that, particularly now it's dried out a bit. You can do that into 1 and 2. Just if you're feeling threatened from behind, just be bold on the brakes. Does that look like that's Jack Harley-Walsh going into the pit lane? For a mechanical, so something's wrong with his flat. That's Dean Everest clattering the bollards there. I would expect there to be a cone warning there, and it's opened the door as well for Adam Britton, and he's also going to be under attack from Russell Cooper up the hill as well there. Yeah, that's been a costly moment there for Dean Everest. Just too much pace carried through paddock, and it all unravelled through there. As behind them, that's Michael Reeder down the inside of Kim Ely through turns 1 and 2 as well, so change there as well for 6th place. Dean Everest fighting back there on Michael Reeder and gets it done. 4th place back into the hands of Everest. Here comes Michael Reeder. Loving Michael Reeder today. Yeah. He is putting in some very good overtaking manoeuvres and gaining positions cleanly. The fastest driver on the circuit now is Andrew Ward, who's in 9th place. Benjamin Sproat just behind. Chevy Lacassis having a good drive as well in 11th place. As here comes Michael Reeder again, this time on Dean Everest. Dean Everest tries to close the door, but isn't quick enough. Through goes Michael Reeder. I think that's 3 positions, at least 2 positions, in the space of 1 lap. Very impressive stuff. Yeah, really good stuff from the driver on the number 37. For Michael Reeder. And as you say, Andrew, that is a good couple of positions on that last lap. It's 3. It's 3 gained. Yep. For Michael Reeder. Absolutely flying through the order. And these performances will put Michael Reeder in the A final. I think there's Andrew Ward, you just see, black suit with the black, silver and red helmet. And he probably won't thank me for saying it, Andrew, but this is a classic example of what you were just talking about. For certain drivers, the pressure is on here. Yep. This is the lowliest grid start for Wardy, for Andrew Ward, in his heats. He had a bad heat too. Caught up in that instant. We leap into the S's and Cooper. That's not gone well at all there. And there was just contact between Everest on the front right and Cooper on the front left, and they both pulled each other wide. What happens here? Cooper's going to send one on Everest and just get caught out by Michael Reeder being there, right? And then just gets it wrong, gets into the side of Dean Everest. For once, a bit of good fortune for Andrew Ward on a live-streamed Club 100 event, because he gained 2 positions there through doing absolutely nothing. It's very easy for me to say in hindsight, but we were talking earlier about Dean Everest leaving enough room at turns 1 and 2. Ideally, you wouldn't have it was just him turning a bit too soon to make that contact with Cooper. Yeah. Very easy to say from my position here in the comms box. In the moment, you're like, no, I want to try and switch back and get the good drive off the corner, so I get it. But yeah, that was costly for both of them, unfortunately, and they'll be licking their wounds down for the rest of the race. Forcing driver wide penalty for Russell Cooper as well, so that is not a good moment for Russell Cooper. He's now trying to find a way past Kim Ely. Yep. Hello to Jake Wardle, who's gone in contact in the YouTube channel on Alpha Live. Do keep your comments coming in. Let's keep the likes going as well. Let's try and get up to 75 likes if you're enjoying the coverage here on Alpha Live. Less than 2 minutes of this race to go. Ed Barr's starting to apply the pressure a little bit. He's got down into the 46s. But Mike Coppin, I think, is in race management mode at the moment. 1.7 seconds is the gap. Battle rages on between Ely and Cooper. Cone warning for Dan Grocott in the number 38. Saying that, Ed Bars has just taken 3/10 out of Mike Coppin. Saw Ed Bars have a very strong finish to his second heat about an hour ago. Is this another one here for Ed Bars? And this could be key for later on in the finals when the races are a little bit longer. Maybe this is what Ed Bars is needing today, a little bit more time to grow into these races. Yep, it's a good point.
7 minutes, these heat races, and then we'll be going up to 12-minute races when we get to the trophy finals.
Purple through sector number 2 goes Ed Bars. If you're new to this kind of racing, what we mean by that is you just set the fastest sector time of anybody in this race so far, and he's just done a 46.729. Coppin is responding though, has done his own 46 at 46.916. There he is.
Yeah, it's a good clarification. Going purple does not mean a term of frustration.
He's not pushing really hard.
He's not,
and
no.
doing anything that would not. Oh, who's that off the road in through Garda? I think it's one of our C3s. I hope it's not Benjamin Sproat, because Benjamin Sproat was right up the order there. I think it's Chevy Lacassis. It's Chevy Lacassis has spun out and fallen from, I think that was around 13th place. That's a real shame.
Now, maybe he was helped into it, but it's easily done, by the way. Actually, we're on the last lap here. I'm not going to be caught out on this one. Mike Coppin is going to come across the line to take the win for heat number 9. Ed Bars with a strong showing and fastest lap of the race in second. Adam Britton, great drive from him into third place. Andrew Ward worked his way up the order nice and steadily there. And Michael Reeder with a great drive to 5th as well. Russell Cooper in 6th, Dean Everest in 7th, Kim Ely in 8th place, Sam Morris and Andy Orford round out your top 10. Benjamin Sproat was your highest placed Class 3 runner in 11th, and it was Dan Grocott, Andrew McWilliam, James Dunnett, Prash Alphonsus, Penny Millman, James Britton, Thonos Chevalakakis, we saw with the incident there, James Britton actually got past Alphonsus on that last lap. They're still crossing the line now. And Jack Harley-Walsh, unfortunately, we saw with an issue. That's heat number 9. We've got to look ahead already to heat number 10.
Last opportunity for this group of drivers in their heats. Let's have a look at the grid for heat number 10. Dan Seeger has pole. Chris Woodger alongside on the front row. Bryn Alban and Matt Ellis have both driven very well today, and they go from row 2 in this one. Charlie Summers was lightning quick earlier on. He's on row 3 there alongside Ben Lambeth. Steph Theodore, who's had a strong day so far, starts on row 4 alongside Dante Dillon. Louis Stagg and Callum Martin go from row 5. Justin Draper and Hussein Rashid on row 6. Ashley White and Mortaza Hassan start on row 7. James Browning and Cameron Williams can be found on row number 8. Patrick Millman and Joe Ratcliffe complete an 18-car field there on row 9. And a bit of No Jet TV for you here at Buckmore Park.
For me, Andrew, there's a few Class 1 drivers in the first few rows of the grid who could do with capitalising on this high grid position. Some drivers who we know they're good, we know they've got pace, but they maybe just haven't had that killer result that they need so far to confirm their place on the grid of their choosing. Dan Seeger leads them away. Bryn Alban following through. Good start there from 3rd on the grid from Bryn, and he's holding on to 2nd place there. Chris Woodger trying to hang it on the outside as he's under threat from Charlie Summers in the 81. Summers has indeed got up into 81st? No, he's up into 3rd in the 81. Try again, Howard, as they go through hairpin 2. Dante Dillon side by side there with Steph Theodorou as well. I think being courteous and trying to avoid getting a penalty by letting him back through as they sweep down the hill for the first time here. It's still Dan Seeger for now at the front. Bryn Alban looking racy though, as Chris Woodger, we've got a spinner at the back there. From the mid-pack, I should say.
One of
that was from quite high up.
I think it might be Ben Lambeth.
I think you might be
right.
A
single-digit red-plated number.
Yeah, it's not.
And it looked like a 6, but there's no number 6 in this race, so I think it was Ben Lambeth.
Yeah, at the end of lap number 1, then we'll look to confirm it. But I agree, mate. Ben Lambeth dropping down the order, and that is costly because I think he would have hoped for stronger heats up to this point as well. So it could be an interesting set of finals for Ben there. As Steph Theodorou's got by on Chris Woodger, I can see there. Steph Theodorou up to 3rd place now, and indeed Dante Dillon through as well on Chris Woodger. I don't think that's been the best sequence of corners there for Woodger. He's dropped down a bit there as Bryn Alban really looks like he's going to work with Dan Seeger for now, I think, but he's looking racy here. Steph Theodorou in that 3rd position then, highest placed Class 2 runners in that black plated number 85 kart. Across the line at the end of lap number 2.
Penalty, if we've not mentioned already, for Callum Martin.
One wonders if that is on Ben Lambeth.
Yeah.
I wonder what led to that, because it's uncharacteristic from Ben to spin out like that, particularly as the track has now gripped up so much over the last couple of hours.
It stayed fairly close though, so I think there is time for Ben Lambeth to pull back some of these positions. 9 seconds currently covering the whole field with 5 minutes to play. Dan Seeger and Bryn Albin at the moment, tactically, I was about to say just need to work together as Bryn Albin throws it down the inside, takes the lead of the race. That's him wanting to take the initiative here. He'll have been sat there going, no, I think I've got a bit more pace than Dan Seeger here. And I can see Steph Theodorou, Dante closing in, got to make the move now.
I think it was a carbon copy move there. Dillon threw on Theodorou as well. So Dante Dillon up to third place, courtesy of the fastest lap. And now look at this. Bryn Albin, Dan Seeger and Dante Dillon, your top three, with a Steph Theodorou and a Chris Woodger and Ashley White, who's done really well, actually. Ashley White was the lowest
Dante
place.
Down the inside, going for P2 on Dan Seeger, and has got it done. Dan tries to hold it around the outside, but that's not going to work through hairpin number 2. Big lap this, big rest of the lap this for Bryn Albin. He's made that move, he's taken the lead. Can he try and pull away from Dante Dillon? Easier said than done. Steph Theodorou still there in 4th place. Chris Woodger and Ashley White. This is a good quality field in this race.
For Ashley, Ashley was the lowest placed non-novice on the grid.
Yeah.
So really done well to work up to 6th place there. There's another fastest lap of the race is posted by Dante Dillon. This is really interesting now. We've got plenty of time left on the clock for this, actually. We're only at half race distance in this one. And he's going to go for it into hairpin 2. That's late, though. There's not really the gap.
Back through.
Yeah, that is sensible. That is sensible driving, but he's got to be careful because Dan Seeger is not owed anything to let him back past, but would love the opportunity and nearly seized it then. But it was well judged from Dante to let Bryn back through. The bollards on there.
Have they gone?
Oh, they're there.
There'll be yellow flags out at the bottom of the circuit. So, at worst, Dante Dillon would get a contact warning for that attempted move on Bryn Albin. But the crucial thing is he let him back through. We can see him. He's trying to set the move up again. He's trying to get in the peripheral vision of Bryn Albin to put him off, get him offline. Trying to do it maybe through hairpin 2 again. This is where he's... No, he's too far back this time.
I felt Bryn took just a slightly shallower line as well, just to deter the move that time as well. Not so much that it compromised him. I say that, look down the hill here. Dante's got great drive down the hill, but we've seen Bryn has been strong in breaking into paddock throughout the race, and indeed there's nothing on there for Dante in terms of a move, but Bryn does feel the need to go defensive into Garda. And
you can defend your position round this Buckmore Park circuit, but a switchback being attempted. They're going to be side by side as they come through Cafe. Through goes Dante Dillon. Dan Seeger's going to try and fight through as well. Bryn Albin gives him the space on the outside. They rode wheels. There's a bit of smoke off the wheels, but Bryn Albin holds on to P2 for now because Seeger's back down the inside through into hairpin number 1. Brilliant racing here in Club 100, as we come to expect around Buckmore Park.
Yeah, it was brilliant to watch. I have to say, for Steph Theodorou, that's the kind of position where when I see it, I go, ooh, opportunity, and then I'm like, actually, I just want to hang back for a second.
Just in case there's a few tears.
But that was good. There was good racing room given by the drivers there. Bryn Albin, who, again, strong under braking into paddock, goes through on Dan Seeger. That, for me, was fair enough for Seeger to go the other side of the bollard there. Did not gain a significant advantage, but it does mean is the 85 of Steph Theodorou is right with them now. Fastest lap of the race as well last time round for Ashley White. This is all closing up, and just in case it wasn't entertaining enough, there's more drivers getting involved in this one, albeit Dante Dillon has pulled out a significant gap now at the front of 1.4 seconds.
Yellow cards for both, effectively. There was a contact warning for Bryn Albin. There was a track limit warning for Dan Seeger. So they let the fight continue. Ashley White in the black suit and the white helmet. Karts number 44 has joined the fray. Steph Theodorou. Oh, that's a brave one. Steph, he's made it work. How on earth has he made that one work? Gets through into 4th place in brilliant fashion. This is all helping Dante Dillon, though, who should see the last lap board in a few moments' time. Don't see many overtakes through the S's work in those conditions, Howard, but if there's one driver brave enough to do it, it's Steph Theodorou.
Yeah, again, one of those moves I'm going to file under. Didn't expect that when I came into sleep this morning. The confidence they've got now around the track is something else compared to how it was. So really good stuff there. And Ashley White, we've barely seen Ashley on the cameras, but what a drive from 13th on the grid in the number 44, now battling away for that 3rd place. But this man here, Dante Dillon, driver that Andrew and I have commentated on for a long time, had would have been was it the Northampton Karting League that we first, and it is the last lap, and he's going to take the win. As I'm opining over his history, he's advancing his season right now, takes the win. Bron Elban in second, Steph Theodore, who hangs on for third, Dan Seeger in fourth, ahead of Ashley White there, Chris Woodger in sixth, and it was Charlie Summers, Callum Martin, Hussein Rashid, Justin Draper rounded out the top 10. Matt Ellis, Ben Lambeth recovered to 12th in the end, ahead of Hassan as the highest placed Class 3, Patrick Millman, then it was James Brown and Cameron Williams, Lewis Stagg, Joe Radcliffe to round out your 18 runners. There is your Heat 10 result. Next up is going to be Heat number 11.
Penultimate heat of the heats phase for lightweights, heat number 1, round number 1 I should say. Here's your grid for it. Aaron Clark and Jake Wilkins on the front row, Samuel Essery and Josh Wood on row 2, Tony Philbin and Harrison Kirkham on row 3. George Lawler and Christian Lerner go from row number 4, Oliver Johnson and Andy Bushell complete the top 10 on row 5, Yusuf Bin Sahel and Nicholas Lacasas on row number 6. Matt Wildman and Isaiah Eguagu start on the 7th row of the grid. George Oxford and Alex Rule on row 8. Ryan Williams and Adam Sheargold on row 9.
Really interesting one for me here, Andrew. Unless I'm much mistaken, there's only one person in this field who's won a race already today. It's Matt Wildman, and he's starting from 13th.
Excellent.
So interesting opportunity for these drivers to really get a good result here.
Off we go then, 7 minutes on the clock, waiting for that green light, and away we go. Good start for the front row. Clark and Wilkins, all the drivers finding their way through turns 1 and 2, looking clean so far as they head towards hairpin number 1. Clark defends to the inside in the blue suit, just gets a little bit squirrely off of hairpin number 1. Samuel Essery's had a good start, I can see as well. Here comes Matt Wildman again, he's already trying to get through into the top 10. That was a clean start, very mature start from Aaron Clark there in pole position. He leads as they head down to the bottom end of the circuit.
Yeah, I thought that was a good start all round actually there for our drivers, nice and clean. I've said it before, that one's over though, so hopefully I've not jinxed it. But Aaron Clark controlling it nicely there as they come through Senna and up the hill to complete lap number 1 of this last opportunity for all these drivers to maximise their points ahead of the finals. We'll get into how all of that works in a short while. It's Aaron Clark who leads, Harrison Kirkham in second, Sam Essery up to third, Josh Wood, Oliver Johnson, and Matt Wildman got up to 7th place on that first lap, so up 6 places from where he started. Great start there for the driver of the number 33, who's had a brilliant day so far in the lightweights. Harrison Kirkham there in the 12, following Aaron Clark down the hill. Through paddock corner they go. There's the 61 of Josh Wood. And behind him, Oliver Johnson battling away. Matt Wildman has arrived on the scene, and I think he's through, not on Johnson, but I think he got through on Jake Wilkins there. I think Wilkins dropped back a few positions there on that lap. Indeed he did. Wilkins down to 7th, Matt Wildman now up to 6th, and there's been an issue out there for Ryan Williams, I'm afraid to say. Now down to the back of the pack, as there's a twitchy moment there to hairpin 2 between Kirkham, Essery, and I think it was Oliver Johnson as well. Josh Wood, I think, has dropped back in all of that. The driver with the black helmet with the arrow on the side of it. Now side by side with Matt Wildman, as Aaron Clark feels the need to go defensive with Harrison Kirkham. There's battles all over the place here amongst this top 10. And I think that's a double pass for Matt Wildman there. Really picking his way through clean well here. I think that's him past Wood and Johnson, is it? No, he's still got to catch up to the back of Oliver Johnson, who's showing really good pace. Sets a new fastest lap of the race, 47.4. And there's been a change for the lead and all that as well. Kirkham was to the front, but now down the inside goes Clark, and that's borderline for me.
Yeah.
On the bump and pass, he's got to be careful. I know he's fighting for a race win, but he has got to be careful now. Oliver Johnson down the inside of hairpin 2. Harrison Kirkham again side by side with Clark, and Matt Wildman again capitalising there. I think that's Wildman getting through as Oliver Johnson in all of that comes to the head of the field. Brilliantly judged by the driver of the 84.
I think we might see a couple of race control messages there in the not too short distance in time. This is good for Matt Wildman though, because whilst all of these drivers are scrapping, he's just using his experience, picking them off one by one. Yep, sure enough, there it is. Aaron Clark penalty. I imagine that's going to be for the ABC bump and pass through hairpin number 1.
Imagine so. I mean, a great bit of battling for us to watch as viewers, but they've just got to keep it nice and clean there. Oliver Johnson currently leads. Matt Wildman now trying for 3rd place, or holding off Aaron Clark for 3rd place, I should probably say there. So it's Johnson, Kirkham, and then Wildman, your top 3. And I think Kirkham would have hoped to have worked with the leader to pull away, but he's had a different leader to work with all the time. I don't think we've had... Oh, there's a wide moment there. Oliver Johnson's gone wide. Matt Wildman's going to seize the opportunity on Harrison Kirkham, and Aaron Clark follows through as well. Nicely judged there from Clark. If he can hold it together up the hill, he's going to be side by side with Harrison Kirkham, but I think he's managed to keep his foot in it. So now it's Johnson, Wildman and Clark ahead of Harrison Kirkham now, and still plenty of battling. There's Bin Sahale. I think last race I observed quite a bit of field spread. This time, Andrew, the complete opposite. They're nose to tail for most of this pack.
This is a super drive from Matt Wildman. He's making this look effortless moving through the pack. It definitely isn't effortless. He's having to work very, very hard, but all the moves that he's making, taking advantage of others' mistakes, all clean, all good so far. Now he's just got to pick his moment to try and find a way past Oliver Johnson, who seems a little bit under pressure. Here goes Wildman down the inside, into Garda, side by side, through the corner. Beautifully done by Matt Wildman. Spot on, takes the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliantly judged by Wildman. From the non-novice back of the grid to the race lead, and that's done in 6 laps. Really well done. Shout out for Oliver Johnson, though, as well. He's shown great pace so far today, and he would do very well now to sit in Matt's wheel tracks to the end. He doesn't look like he wants to, though. He feels he could do even better and take this one, but he doesn't want to throw it all away in some move on a Class 1 driver and lose out to Aaron Clark and Harrison Kirkham behind him, who've both been driving well as well. Actually, these top three Class 2 drivers at the moment, I think, have had strong races here. Aaron Clark up the inside. It's going to compromise both of them, though, and Kirkham senses the opportunity, tried to get a real switchback line, and he's done it. Ran the outside. Well, sorry, he's still behind Clark, but managed to get by on Oliver Johnson there. Nicely judged there from Harrison Kirkham in that number 12 cart.
Yeah. Ooh, Oliver Johnson needs to be careful there, because that looks a bit bump and runny to me. Through. Yusuf Bin Sahale's going to try and get involved now as well. Black suit, the red suit and the black helmet is going to be on the outside now, but may have a switchback on the exit of hairpin number 2. A couple of warnings coming in as well. Andy Bushell for a track limits.
Yeah, don't feel like I've mentioned George Lawler at all this race, but he's been in plenty of battles there in the number 49 as well. Oh, big move from a long way back there for Bin Sahale. And he's made it stick. And George Lawler was looking for a way through on Kirkham as well there, but couldn't quite find it. But that was a bold move into paddock corner from Yusuf Bin Sahale.
He's the fastest driver out on circuit at the moment. 35 seconds to go. We'll be going on to the last lap now for these drivers. Matt Wildman up ahead as Bin Sahale down the inside of Johnson there. Takes 3rd place. Needs to fight for it though on exit, because the switchback there by Johnson to the inside. Kirkham now trying to force through and retake 4th place. You don't know where to look at the moment in this 11th heat of 12. Matt Wildman in control of it. Aaron Clark has raced through to 2nd place, but remember, we have seen a penalty come up on our board in the commentary box. But who's going to take 3rd place? Johnson, Bin Sahale, Kirkham. Bin Sahale looks for it again. Needs to make sure he's not been compromised on the end of this lap. Loads of scrapping on going behind. Josh Wood's now coming into it, but Matt Wildman's going to take another victory here. He was the only driver with a victory on the scorecard so far of this grid, and he's made it 2. Aaron Clark 2nd, Oliver Johnson 3rd, Yusuf Bin Sahale fights home to 4th, Kirkham, Wood, Lawler, Essery, Lena and Lacasas is your provisional top 10. Jake Wilkins 11th, Adam Sheargold, great drive from Adam Sheargold, top C3 home in 12th place, Andy Bushell, Tony Philbin, George Oxford is your top 15. What a pulsating penultimate heat there in Heat 11. We're going to move on, though. Heat 12 is up next. Last heat, last of the 7-minute heats here in the lightweights. Here's your grid. Stephen Westwood has pole position. Luke Phillips alongside him on the front row. James Martin and Matthew Cockram on row 2. Andrew Ravage, and Christopher Powell on row 3. Sam Lovelace has been great so far today. He starts this one on row 4 alongside Joshua Sangster. Thomas Barrett and Keith Segal row 5. Rob Newman and Jeremy Deeks are on row 6. Anwar Barul Smith and Chris Hancock's on row 7. Harrison Earl, Yusuf Saohayono, Tommy Lee and Gareth Pritchard and Clifton Malcolm complete the 19 karts in this field.
Well ignored on my monitor where it got up the heavyweights Heat 12 grid.
Ah, a bit different. Here we go then. 7 minutes. Last time we'll say that for the lightweights here today. Very good start for those on the pole side of the grid. Stephen Westwood leads through the first couple of corners. Those two right-handers approaches hairpin number 1. And it's looking a bit... it's looking all right. It's looking all right through the first hairpin.
Rob Newman's in 3rd. He started 11th.
How? There?
He's there.
What?
Honestly, I was just watching him then. He's
what
up into 3rd.
wizardry has the Sheffield Jedi been doing now? Love another look at that. How? We'll have to I mean, we can pick him out with the orange helmet. How has Newman got from 11th to 3rd?
I mean, he's on the pole side, which got the better start. So there
See
you
him
go, orange
there,
helmet.
about 5 or 6 back. He's gone to the middle of the road. Now is he just going to hook it underneath? How has he done this? It's always going to go round the outside, cut to the inside. That is ridiculous.
That's amazing.
He's not lost it, has he?
No.
He's not lost it at all.
He's through on James Martin as well now, so up into 2nd place there.
What have we just seen there? I
thought
know I
I'd
wax lyrical a lot about Rob Newman, and it's great to have him back, but come on.
No, that's great.
That is ridiculous.
That is brilliant, brilliant racecraft off of a start. Really well judged. Around the outside, and then cuts to the inside for hairpin 1. Beautifully done.
He's just shaking his head at himself because he didn't quite get paddock corner right. Come on. 5.5 minutes to go. Stephen Westwood leads the race. Rob Newman, who, I say, you would not know from this performance that he's had over a year out of this. His supreme performance so far today that is really going to put the lightweights class on notice when we get to the finals.
I mean, this is I feel like I can say it now because we're in Heat 12.
Yeah.
We are going into the finals next, but we haven't had a... We're going to throw Mike Coppin, Rob Newman, Ed Bars, Matt Wildman, Sam Lovelace. We're going to throw them all at an A final, and Anwar Barul Smith, and this is shaping up to be a really interesting round.
Round a circuit that still isn't fully dry.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to these
Stay
finals,
tuned,
mate.
folks. This
really.
is going to be quite a start to the season in terms of finals racing. Rob Newman now shaping up for a move on Stephen Westwood. To the inside, right on cue. He's going to hold that inside line and take the lead.
Beautifully done there. And set the fastest lap of the race. So Rob Newman is right back in the zone. If there was any doubt, there wasn't really, but if there was any doubt with him coming back to Club 100 Sprints action, I think he's allayed those fears. So yeah, 13 to the head of the field. James Martin still driving well there in 3rd place. Christopher Powell as well. Yeah, I should say as well, Christopher Powell also started low down on this grid. And, well, sorry, he was 6th up to 4th, to be absolutely clear. But he was out wide a little bit on turn 1 at the start of the race and recovered that well for the remainder of that lap.
Now, if you're Stephen Westwood, the pace is good at the moment. I think you've just got to work with Rob Newman at the moment and secure those points.
Yep.
You don't want to throw it down the road for a heat win and deny yourself. But at the moment, I think Westwood's going to be on course for an A final qualification automatically.
You notice who the lowest placed Class 1 driver is in this race right now?
Anwar Barul Smith, yes.
Don't say that very often.
No, you do not say that very often.
But he struggled to make hay in this pack. And, yeah, he's just not finding his way through at the moment.
He's got to keep going, though, because, again, it could be that 10th place gives him some important points in the context of today. Don't give up the reigning heavyweight champion. 3 minutes to go. Here's the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th places. Andrew Abbage in the red suit, blue and white helmet. Matthew Cockram, number 18, and then Joshua Sangster in the all blue, the white helmet behind.
Here's Matthew Cockram.
These are all drivers, I'd say, Howard, that are just trying to convert at least into a B final.
Yeah.
Possibly skirt into the A with some stronger results earlier in the day. no point ever been thinking of those individuals in terms of, oh dear, they've had a bad one.
Nope.
It's been good performances across the board. We've got Luke Phillips ahead as well, who say they're fighting for position, but they're also working together at this stage of the race to try and reel back in Luke Phillips and catch him and hopefully gobble him up and spit him out the back of their group, then all gain a net one position for their efforts. Rob Newman, fastest driver out on circuit. Christopher Powell having a fight here with James Martin. This is over third place. Martin may have a switchback here. He's got a nose up alongside. Powell's going to have to give him space. Does give him space. Good racing between two very experienced members of the Lightweight Sprints Championship entry. That's Powell up to third.
But I'd still love the fact that I spoke to James this morning, went, been out on these tyres before? He went, nope. Spoke to Chris, been out on these tyres before? Nope. Nope. Well, he did the endurances yesterday, actually, to be clear.
So he has.
But, sorry, he has. So sorry, yes, it was James who pronounced like. And I said to him, well, what's good is you've got some really good control experiment type conditions to go out there on, with grease and sleet and everything. So he's dialed himself in well there.
Standard conditions for this time of year. He's done it long enough. You should expect it.
Andrew Rabbage has caught up here to Luke Phillips. This is the battle for 5th place. So it's now nearly 5-horse race actually, because Sam Lovelace
Anwar
is
out
coming
the
on
race.
back.
Sorry, to cut across. Anwar out the race. So has he had some form of problem? It means he's now going to be classified 19th in this race. Down the inside, Matthew Cockram is going to let Andrew Rabbage have that one. Oh, right on cue, beautiful from Joshua Sangster. Took opportunities there to gain a position. I can see why Matthew Cockram said go back through to Andrew Rabbage. That's not to stop Sangster having a go himself. Cockram's now going to try and get that position back. Runs both of them wide, and Lovelace down the inside.
Oh, well judged.
He just keeps doing these little moves, like just off of camera frame. He is there, folks. He's driving very well.
An interesting one, isn't it, with Anwar? One has to assume there's a kart problem there. That he immediately
went, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, because there's no mechanical flag being shown, so that means I think that he's self-diagnosed a problem there. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting, where he lines up on the grids.
Rob Newman across the line takes another race victory. Stephen Westwood finishes P2. Christopher Powell has driven well today, P3 for him. James Martin, P4. Luke Phillips, Andrew Rabbage, Sam Lovelace, Joshua Sangster, Matthew Cockram, and Yusuf Sohoyono finishing the top 10. Good drive from Yusuf there. Gaining more experience here in Club 100, top C3, home in 10th. Harrison Earl as well on his debut finishes 11th. That's a good result. Thomas Barrett's 12th. Tommy Lee, Chris Hancock's, Pritchard, Segal, Deeks, Malcolm are the finishers home. And one retirement from that race, and Rob Raw Smith.
Sorry, my inhale of breath there was Tommy Lee versus Chris Hancock's across the line, which was fairly tasty.
Right, well, there'll be a pause now whilst the results are calculated for the C, B and A finals. We'll take a short break here on the commentary and bring you a few messages here from Alpha Live and DDMM for events coming up.
slides up the inside. It's getting very close. He's not made it.
Have you ever seen a championship decided like that?
Welcome to Alpha Live, the live streaming service where you can be part of the action from home. You can watch via your smart TV, phone, tablet, or even your gaming console. We've got you covered. Just head to the YouTube app on any of your devices and search for Alpha Live. Here you can watch all of the events as they unfold, or you could choose from our vast library for those lazy days in, all in beautiful HD. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out
7
on
seconds.
any future
6,
videos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to
Welcome back to Buckmore Park for coverage of the first round of this 2023 Club 100 Sprints Championship. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell from Double Dash Motorsport Media on the air for you today. Thank you to Alpha Live for those messages. And 7:20 on Wednesday night, live coverage on the DDMM YouTube channel of the opener for Club 100 and BUKC iRacing this year. And if you've watched that and you've gone, oh my goodness, I didn't know about this. I'm on the iRacing and I like or do the Club 100 things. Entries are still open. The eligibility is as follows. If at any point in time you don't have to be a current Club 100 and or BUKC driver, you could have done BUKC 12 years ago for Birmingham University and not done any karting since. Past or present Club 100 or BUKC drivers, if you're on iRacing, you are eligible. Obviously, if you do really well and you win the prizes and you get the track time, you're then going to have to actually come into the real world and do some racing in Club 100.
It's a nice problem to have.
It is a nice problem
It's a very nice problem to have.
And should also say as well, our friends in the British Pro Kart Endurance Championship,
Yes.
BPEC, it's just current drivers. So if you're a current BPEC driver, you are eligible for the Club 100 BUKC iRacing Championship. It would be great to have you along. We've already got, I think, around 40 drivers signed up for the full season. As I say, the main prizes for C1 and C2, the experienced and the casual classes, is if you win the championship, it's best of 8 rounds over 11 rounds of the year. You get an entry into an endurance round in 2024. Free of charge from Club 100, and there's also prizes from G3 Pro as well, and a growing prize pot of iRacing dollars as well.
Absolutely, definitely want to check out. Please come and join us, either as a competitor or as a viewer. We're really looking forward to kicking that one off next week, well, on Wednesday as it is. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening now. So they're just working out all of the points from the heats, and we're going to go into a series of finals. There's going to be 3 of them, a C final, a B final, and an A final. The winner of that A final is the winner of the round. They will bag 150 points as it is now under the rules. So that's a significant increase on last year. It would have been 130 last year. But different points in the rules coming in for today. The significant thing about that, and obviously along the way we'll also crown who our round 1 winners are in Class 3 and Class 2 as well. Repechage. That's the key word here. That's how it's described in the regulations, and it's a good word. It's a word that you want to achieve. If, let's say, you've not had brilliant the heats as you would expect them to have on a good day, maybe you're down in that C final. The top 4, there is basically an opportunity for redemption if your heats have not gone to plan.
Yeah.
The top 4 drivers in the C final will be promoted onto the back, or repechaged onto the back of the grid for the B final, and from that B final, the top 2 will be promoted to the A.
Now the key thing here as well is and we see this sometimes not quite go right, shall we say. If you're in that top 4 and a top 4 group, a breakaway group from the peloton, we're using all the French terms in this scenario, they've got to work together. The worst thing they can do Howard, is start fighting, because that can encourage 5th, 6th, 7th on the road back into the fight. But also, if you start picking up penalties, one ABC bump and pass automatically rules you out. Even if you win the race on the road, because it's +4 positions, you'll be classified 5th. 5th is not good enough. You'll be out.
Yeah.
So we will often talk, folks, about, right, stop fighting drivers, even though we all want a good race. We all like a good race, because it's all about just getting in that top 4 to move on to the next race.
Yep, it's tactical. That's the thing. And what's always interesting about this, I like the C final because, number one, it gives us a chance to showcase maybe some of the drivers whose story we haven't seen so much so far today, but also you have disproportionately less experienced drivers featuring in that C final, and it's about learning that craft, learning that strategic play, learning that sprint race craft of it's not actually, particularly being as the race is getting longer as well. I don't think we said that. We're going to 12 minutes now for these races. So that's an increase of some, 40% in the race distance over what they had in the heats. You got to play that more tactically. It's not all about always going for the move. It's about, okay, I've got to work with this driver. Okay, we're sat in 5th and 6th. If we start battling, we're going to fall back from the top 4. But if we work together, maybe the top 4 will start battling, and that'll give us the opportunity. You defer the gratification, if you will, for certain parts of the race. And as you say, Andrew, it's about keeping it clean as well. So that's going to be the key thing. The top 4 from that C final, the top 2 from the B final, and then, of course, in the A final, it's going to be all about who takes home the spoils at the very top of the table.
Hello to some of our new subs as well on the DDMM YouTube channel, where we've got Comms Box Live. Apologies. Google privacy settings sometimes means we get told who you are, sometimes we don't. We have had a does not this morning, but if that was you, thank you very much for subscribing. I will give shout outs though for these following people who we do know. It has popped up on my screen that they've subscribed, so thank you very much to James Breeden, Lock249 and Dean Charlton, who are all recent subs, and thank you as well for the support over on the Alpha Live main stream as well. And I say, what else have we got to talk about before the C final? We've talked about Club 100 iRacing, BUKC next BUKC stream on the 15th of March, which will rapidly close up on us, and it's Glanigores as well, which we love.
Another driver's favourite
circuit.
Yeah.
So very much looking forward to that one. We've got more rounds here in the Club 100 Sprints throughout the rest of the year. All the details are on the Club 100 website. Juniors and cadets coming up as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And seeing as we're here also, Buckmore Park 24 Hour, we mentioned it earlier, really excited to be bringing coverage of that standalone event in the corporate fleet here at Buckmore Park, which, if you ask me, is one of, if not the best corporate fleet in the country. 24 hours of that. Myself and Kieran McGinley will definitely be there, and some other folks as well, I've heard, but I can't go into detail on that one yet. You've got a calendar in front of you as well.
I do,
Howard.
yeah. It's worth us, let's have a bit of a chat about the Sprints calendar this year. It's 10 rounds, and we're off to the Midlands for the next 2.
Yay!
Yes, we get Lions. Obviously here this weekend for Buckmore Park. Shennington will be the weekend of the 25th and the 26th of March. High-speed circuit there in Shennington, just inside of Oxfordshire, the border between Warwickshire and Oxfordshire there for Shennington. Wilton Mill then, keeping it within the Midlands in Northamptonshire there on the 15th and 16th of April. That will be the 3rd race meeting. Then it'll be Rye House in June, 24th and 25th of June. Clay Pigeon down to Dorset in July, 15th and 16th of July for that 5th round of the championship. We'll be back in Kent then, but down in the Romney Marsh area of Kent in August for Lydd. That's the 5th and 6th of August for round 6. Round 7 will be the 9th and 10th of September at Llandow. We'll be in the Vale of Glamorgan there, South Wales. Ella Park then, right over to the other side of Great Britain there, for Ella Park there, over by Lowestoft sort of way, 7th and 8th of October for round 8. Wilton Mill again for round 9, 20th and 29th of October, and Buckmore Park back here again for the season close for round 10 on the 11th and 12th of November. That's just the sprints and the endurance and the SB60s. As Andrew said, we've got cadets and juniors, we've got the remainder of the BUKC. We've got all sorts. Definitely worth keeping abreast of everything across the various channels for Alpha Live and Double Dash Motorsport Media, and indeed Club 100 throughout the year.
Let's take a short break here on the commentary. We'll be back with more action here from Buckmore Park very, very soon.
Side by side, who's going to be the bigger man? Oh, big off! Straight in the gravel trap, both cars out.
This ain't gonna work for Sean. He slides up the inside. It's getting very close. He's not made it.
Have you ever seen a championship decided like that?
Welcome to Alpha Live, the live streaming service where you can be part of the action from home. You can watch via your smart TV, phone, tablet, or even your gaming console. We've got you covered. Just head to the YouTube app on any of your devices and search for Alpha Live.
You okay to come
Here
out
you can
after
watch
20
all of the
seconds, yeah?
events as
Nice
they
one.
unfold. Or you could choose from our vast library for those lazy days in, all in beautiful HD.
They're heading over to the cards, thankfully.
Be sure to
10
hit that
seconds
subscribe
left on
button
this.
and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody, to Buckmore Park. Drivers heading towards their carts ahead of the C final here for round
got
1
grids as well.
in the lightweight. So let's get ready for it here for Club 100 Lightweight Sprints round 1. The C final is up next. Let's have a look at the grid then, and the drivers who will be trying to finish in the top 4 and progress through to the B final. Matthew Cochrane has pole position in the C final. Adam Sheargold alongside him on the front row. Andy Bushell and Tommy Lee. If they can hold those positions, that's your top 4 going through into the B final. Tony Philbin and Dan Crocott on row number 3. And then moving on to row 4, you've got Ryan Williams and Isaiah Iguagu. Harrison Earl and Murtaza Hassan on row 5. Benjamin Sproat and James Britton on row number 6. George Oxford and Gareth Pritchard on row 7. Patrick Millman and Chris Hancock's on row 8. James Dunnett and James Browning on row 9. Prash Alphonsus and Jack Harley-Walsh start on row number 10. And this will be the most drivers we've had in a race so far today as we move on to row 11, where we find Keith Segal and Cameron Williams. Row 12 we have Thanos Chevilakasis and Alex Rule. Penny Millman and Louis Stagg on row 13. Clifton Malcolm and Joe Ratcliffe on row 14. 28 carts in the field.
Can I just comment on how good it is to see, by the way? It's time for Howard's sort of annual first round of the season health of the grid comment. But it's really good to see 28 carts in the C final. That's really good to see.
Yeah.
So wonderful to see how well supported Club 100 is coming into this season. If, by the way, you've been watching and you're like, this looks good, club100.co.uk. All the details are on there, and give the office a call as well. They'll be more than happy to help. So, yeah, definitely check that out. You've also got all of the various coverage over the years that we've had on Alpha Live of Club 100 stuff as well. So that's definitely worth checking out if you like what you've seen so far today. One of the pace carts there just heading out, getting into position. They are pace carts these days, not pusher carts. It's been a fair few seasons now that we've been in Club 100 Rotax Evo. The cart used to not run with clutches, such that if you spun out you needed to bump start the cart. Not been the case now for a number of seasons. I'll say, is this the 5th season of that? They've gone by quickly, but so yeah, I used to have the scoops on the front of those pace carts, but always developing the Club 100 product. Obviously, we've seen the adoption of the Dunlop tyres coming into this season. So always great to see how they're looking to improve the Club 100 experience. And it is one that's very close to Andrew and my hearts. This is how we got started in karting properly, certainly on the outdoor scene. But yeah, still waiting for the C final here. It's been a longer pause than normal here in the changeover to the finals. So not sure if there was a hold up in calculating stuff, or or if there was some form of appeal. The drivers.
That is true.
It's true. So the appeals. There is an appeals process in place under the rules. It's a limited number of things that you're allowed to appeal for heats. In fact, it's basically only exclusion offences.
There's the whistle to denote that we are set to go.
Yep. The driver's going to head out on track. The one to watch here, Andrew, for me, well, there's an immediate one to watch at the front. It's Matthew Cockram, our pole sitter.
Yeah, a bit surprised to see him here, to be honest.
Yeah. But it's interesting how you were. I think he was one of the drivers who, in the last heat, you said a comment along the lines of, "Here are the drivers that I think just need to hold it together. They'll be in heat 2." Well, no, it's not quite come that way for Matthew here, and it's one of those ones. I actually think this is quite a difficult position to be in. If you're a Class 1 driver at the head of the C final field, and you're just like, well, all I've got to do is hold it together. That can be its own little psychological battle.
Yep.
When you feel like it should be nailed on, it should be a realised goal on balance. That can play on the mind quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting. We would expect Matthew to convert this one into the promotion, but he's got to keep it together for the 12 minutes first.
The first couple of laps are really key as well. He'll want to try and race off the front of the pace we know he has.
Yep, absolutely. Here we go then. Matthew Cockram in the 18. Adam Sheargold, who's had a great day's driving so far in that distinctive red and white suit in the 96. Away we go then for the 12 minutes of the C final. It's a good start from the pole side of the grid. Andy Bushell slotting into second place immediately as they stream through turns 1 and 2. And it is a good start for Matthew Cockram. They all come through hairpin number 1. Going to be interesting to see how Keith Segal goes as well in this one, because he had that incident in Simon Sweep after a strong drive, and that's what sees him down in this C final pack. 67 of Tony Philbin there as well, having a good start there up to 4th place. And Tommy Lee we've seen having some good battles as well. Look out for him in the 86 in this one too. Cockram has had the start that he would have wanted, Andrew. A few kart lengths of gap behind him as he comes around to finish the first lap here. The drivers settle in for their longest race of the day so far.
They will indeed. So, if the race was to finish right now, it'd be Cockram, Sheargold, Bushell, Philbin. That's your top 4. You've got a little blue line there as well to denote that that's your promotion. I've never seen that.
That's good.
Mr. Austin has been very busy in the
hasn't he?
off-season, as I said. That's the line you want to be above. That's the promotion line.
Yep.
At the moment, those 4 drivers doing the job. But Tommy Lee, Isaiah Iguagu, prime position that should any of those 4 drivers make mistakes, they're going to be on the scene to pounce. But Cockham and Sheargold, you see Sheargold there just checking over the shoulder, seeing what the gap is, and it is a good gap. So those top 2 tactically should now just work together. Yes, there's a little plate that you win for winning the C final, but far more important is getting through to the B final, where you could then theoretically race all the way through the B final, overtake loads of drivers and get into the A final.
There's been a problem there for Harrison Earl on that lap. Andrew, he's dropped down. I think he's had a spin somewhere. James Browning as well has tumbled down the field. So an incident possibly involving the 2 of them that's put them towards the back of the field.
Yeah, not good news. Not good news at all for them. So now we have this intriguing fight with Andy Bushell in 3rd, and down the move there from Tommy Lee.
Yep.
So he's done that move because he wants to take that 4th place. He's got a long way to defend it. And this is a good opportunity now for Andy Bushell. If Andy Bushell could run out front to the 4th and 5th place drivers fight amongst themselves, this could be Andy Bushell securing his place into the B final.
And it's gone the way of Philbin. He's been able to hang in there, and look how costly it's been for both Philbin and Lee, because Mortaza Hassan and Dan Grocott are coming up onto the back of them here as well. So don't get me wrong, Tommy Lee had the right idea then. You know, I don't say any of all this tactical stuff I talk about isn't because I necessarily would know so much better out there. It's just we can see the balance here. Tommy Lee went for it, and you understand why, but because it hasn't paid off, that's ended up being very costly for the 2 of them. As Andrew says, dropping off the back of Andy Bushell and allowing the likes of Hassan and Grocott to come into the fray.
I think there have been a couple of penalties. Isaiah Guagu has got one.
It's got unsafe release, so that will be...
and a braking formation
Hassan,
now. We must remember that. The braking formation penalty for Mortaza Hassan, as down the inside there is looking the number 38.
That is Grocott. That's Grocott on Hassan. So we now know that Hassan has 2 places to be applied for braking formation.
So now Hassan can still qualify for the B final, but has got to finish 2nd or 1st. 3rd won't do. He'll get 5th once the penalties have been applied. 4th, even worse. So that's the scale of Mortaza Hassan's story now.
Yeah. An unsafe release, just to be clear for Aguegu, will be a 1-place deduction unless his release led to contact.
Yes.
Which I don't believe it did. I've not seen any evidence that it did. So it'll be a 1-position deduction.
Okay, so actually a 3rd will be good enough then.
Yeah.
He's got to get there first.
For Aguegu, yes.
And a change confirmed as Tommy Lee has got past Tony Philbin there. Mustn't panic if you're Andy Bushell, because he's still there. The track position is good. You're in 3rd place.
Something else as well. Sheargold is just sticking with Cochrane at the front here.
Perfect. It is a very good display from Cochrane and Sheargold of what you should do when you're in this scenario. They're not fighting, getting up the road. They may have a little bit of a fight in the last minute or so to decide who takes the race win, but they're getting on with the job in hand of securing their places amongst the top 4 once we get through the next 7.25 minutes. Track limit warning for Tony Philbin.
Absolutely. Tommy Lee clearly on a mission here. He's going to, and that's tucking underneath by Grocott on Philbin. That was a lovely second phase of the turn 1-2 complex there for Grocott. He just set the fastest lap of the race, and he's got himself up into 5th place.
So Tommy Lee has gone past Andy Bushell for 3rd.
Yep.
Clearly feels he's a bit quicker. He did, until recently, have the fastest lap.
Yep.
And you saw him point there to say, keep working with me.
Yep.
Keep working together and we can get up the road. Really important phase of the race now for Tommy Lee. What he'd want to do is pull away from this pack, drop Andy Bushell. Bushell then has to defend to hold on to his 4th place. And at the moment, he looks like he may be able to do that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Pushing. You can see from the body language of the car, these drivers are pushing.
Yeah.
These drivers are pushing for all they've got at the moment. Tommy Lee's really chucking that kart in and trying to break the gap. And there's a little nudge on the rear there, I felt, by Grocott on Bushell there. No harm, no foul. But all these drivers, I think, know what's at stake. This isn't one of those situations in a C final where there's a driver in the mix who isn't quite savvy to what the deal is. I think all these drivers know the score.
The other difficulty for drivers at this stage of the season, you know, no wing mirrors on these cars.
Hassan.
Oh, lovely move down the inside there by Hassan. driver numbers, who they are, what they've seen come up on a penalty board. You don't really pay attention to the penalty board unless it's your own number as well. As Grocott having a look there at Bushell. You could be in a position here if you're Andy Bushell of you could fall behind Hassan and Philbin and still gain positions at the end because they've got penalties.
Yes.
It's very easy to not think about the situation, and there's a penalty for Tony Philbin in terms of contact. I don't know whether that's I think that's a repeat showing of a previous one. It's very easy to get yourself all confused in terms of what you need to do, whether it be attack, defend, or just hold position and work with another driver to get you through into the top 4.
Yeah.
Pressure now coming on Dan Grocott. That's his cone warning.
Yep.
That's his get out of jail free card. If he hits one more piece of track furniture, he'll then get a penalty. He's got to get past Bushell and up the road to Tommy Lee to get third to negate the effects of his penalty, knocking him out the top 4.
If he gets another one, yes.
If he gets another one. Is this complicated enough for you folks at home? We try and guide you through it.
And don't forget, Murtaza Hassan as well has a 2-place penalty to be applied for breaking formation at the start. So he's really got his work cut out if he's going to earn the promotion spot. At the moment, though, Bushell doing a good job of absorbing this pressure. Tommy Lee's been able to break away. He's played it very well. But Bushell, at the moment, has to hang on to this, has to keep the pressure. We've got a third of the race still to go. Matthew Cockram and Adam Sheargold still working brilliantly at the head of the field here. Fair play to Sheargold for matching Cockram's pace.
Yep.
As we said, but they're not doing anything silly. And then Tommy Lee, as we say, has managed to bridge the gap here. Was that another little tap on the rear of Bushell there by Grocott, just to let him know he's there? The issue, though, is if you're Grocott, if you have an instance like that where maybe you do make contact and then Bushell goes wide, I wouldn't take it because you don't want the penalty.
You don't want the penalty.
It's got to be clean. That's the key. It's got to be clean. Tony Philbin, the 4th kart in this train, battling over 4th place as well. It's Bushell, Grocott, Hassan and Philbin. And there's been a change at the front. Adam Sheargold past Matthew Cockram. So another great move for Adam there. Don't know if maybe Cockram had a moment and would have just let through. There is the change visually.
Problem for Louis Stagg, has fallen down a number of positions, down 6 spots into 21st. Penalty as well for Thanos Cheve Lacasis.
Yep.
Chris Hancock's going along quite nicely now. 46.375. Driver number 64.
Yeah, I feel like him and Millman are working together to try and get onto the back of this pack ahead. Patrick Millman did have a really good start to this race, but I want to say on lap 2 I saw him clock up 4 laps in 4 places, 4 positions in 1 lap.
Yeah.
So Millman's playing himself into this one well as well. It's just coming up to the boil nicely, this one for me. Over this last promotion, as side by side goes Philbin and Millman.
Trying to negotiate their way through, and that's the thing. You can play out the longer game in these races. Track limit penalty for Tony Philbin. Tony Philbin's not going to be making the final here. He's picked up too many penalties in the race so far.
But Millman and Hancock's both got through then, and I think they've worked together really well the last few laps. So look out for them.
Got to keep going. There's still, I know 2 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but in karting it is.
Well, if the bows break on this battle ahead of them, it'll come back to them. It really, really will. So look out for the 24 and the 64 coming up onto the back of this battle that we're predominantly following here between Bushell in the 57, Grocott in the 38, and Hassan in the 143. Definitely the outside chance for Hassan because of the penalty he's carrying, but he's still a factor in this battle.
C3 scenario, we're not going to have podium positions. We might have the 3 drivers who are on the podium in C3 decided, but not necessarily the order as down the inside. And this is it. It's going to start breaking down now. Murtaza down the inside of Grocott. He's got a lot of work to do, though, because there's penalties on the 143 at the moment. This is a good moment for Andy Bushell. Got to keep eyes forward. Don't start defending thin air, Andy Bushell.
But like that.
Yeah, but they're closing in now. This is the thing. If Murtaza goes through on Bushell, that's still a-okay for Bushell, but he may not know that, Howard.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the clear thing now. If Bushell gets past, or if Bushell is passed by Hassan,
the penalty will flip it back round.
It would,
But we'll
he's
only do
unlikely
that
to know.
post-race.
Only do it post-race, and he's unlikely to know that. So it's likely that he'll suddenly, you know, there's a risk that desperation will come into his driving, and then it can snowball from there. So this is going to be interesting here. But he's driven so well. He's absorbed so much pressure already. Here goes Hassan down the inside at Paddock Corner. Bushell is going to try and fight back. And it's easy for us to say he doesn't need to, but it's so hard, you know, unless he's memorised all of the numbers and monitored the penalty board.
To be honest, I normally I would say don't fight, but track position, because there's such a big group behind him, I think just keeping that track position if you can is the way to go here.
Look at Millman. Millman's on the scene. We are on the last lap now, so Adam Sheargold is just coming out the hairpins now. He's doing it, and there's Hassan down the inside. Bushell's frustrated. Grocott smells the opportunity. Look out for Millman, and Hancock's behind. And there is Millman down the inside. Millman down the inside of Bushell. And look at this, 3 abreast towards the S's. It's Hassan in 4th, but he has a penalty at the moment. It's Grocott. Has Grocott got penalties as well?
I don't think Grocott has. I don't think Grocott has. He's got a cone warning. Adam Sheargold is going to take the C final win. Matthew Cockram's going to follow him home. They're going to be through to the B final. 1, 2. Tommy Lee's going to drive through in there as well. 3. Who's going to take that 4th place? The final spot in the B final. We're having to wait. Mortaza on the line. It'll be Grocott. Grocott once the penalties have been applied. Very good stuff from Dan Grocott to keep his nerve through all of that. Provisionally, we'll check back through as if there were any other penalties that snuck their way in there, because there were quite a few in that one, but per our understanding, it'll be Sheargold, Cockram, Lee, Grocott. That is your 4 advancing to the B final. Sheargold and Lee will be on the podium at least in C3.
You've got to feel a little bit for Andy Bushell there, but fair play as well to Patrick Millman, Chris Hancock, and Ryan Williams as well, didn't give a mention. Played themselves into that one brilliantly. It could have gone their way so easily. Really fascinating C final for me there, Andrew.
Very, very good stuff. That's what we like from a C final. Went to the bitter end to decide the key positions. And we'll see those 4 drivers in the B final. The rest of them, that is the end of their racing here today. So let's just have a very quick provisional run through that order. Sheargold, Cockram, Lee, Hassan is your top 4 on the road. Hassan has penalties, so Grocott will go through. Patrick Millman 6th on the road. Chris Hancock 7th. 8th for Ryan Williams, Andy Bushell and George Oxford complete the top 10. Isaiah Guagu finishes there in 11th place. Harrison Earl 12th. Benjamin Spoke 13th. Thanos Cheve Kakis there in 14th place. Gareth Pritchard 15th. Louis Stagg 16th. James Dunnett 17th. James Britton 18th. Keith Segal 19th. Jake Harley Walsh home in the top 20. In card number 56. I've just realised that Jack's in card number 56, therefore he's automatically my favourite driver this year. James Browning finished in 21st, Penny Millman in 22nd, Prash Alphonsus 23rd, Alex Rule 24th, Clifton Malcolm 25th, Tony Philbin 1 lap down in 26th. Well done to all of those drivers. We hope to see them again here very, very soon. Next up though, it's the B final. B final time here at Buckmore Park for round 1 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprints for 2023. Matt Ellis has pole position alongside him on the front row. Be looking to work together because there's only 2 spots in this race that progress through to the A final is Adam Britton. Dean Everest and Andrew Rabbage will be trying to stop them from row 2, as will Michael Reeder and Joshua Sangster on row 3. Andrew McWilliam had a good start to the day, is on row 4 alongside Aaron Clark, Sam Morris and Christian Lanner on row number 5, Thomas Barrett and Hussein Rashid on row number 6, Ben Lambeth and Russell Cooper on row 7, Samuel Essery and George Lawler on row number 8, Jeremy Deeks and Nicholas Lacasas on row number 9. Justin Draper and Jake Wilkins on row 10, Kim Ely and Yusuf Sohayono, apologies, who I believe I'm right in saying is the single C3 automatic qualifier there on row 11. Well done to Yusuf and his efforts so far today. And we've got a confirmed result from the C final. It is as we thought. Adam Sheargold and Matthew Cockram will be on row 12. Tommy Lee and Dan Gokart on row 13. 26 carts in this field. We just had a visitor, didn't we, mate?
We did, yeah. Sorry, I was having a big man hug with
Which if
Jacob
if you were watching on DDMM Comsbox Cam, you would have seen a prime Welsh specimen walk into the box.
Indeed.
Looked pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But he's disappeared now, which means I don't have the opportunity right now to talk about a rugby result from last night.
oh, that's true. It's all right.
So I'm on safe ground doing it here.
We're doing a paddock walk later.
Yeah.
Pick him out.
Pick him out.
I have to say, we're a year on from Jacob making his proper sort of sprints debut, and he had such a good season last year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should save that for the heavyweight part of the broadcast, but it's really going to be good to see how he gets on. Whistle goes and the engines get started up then for our B final grid. 26 drivers, as we said, and the top two is the key here. Top two get promoted, and what that does mean is, as Andrew was alluding to, we're gonna see our Class 3 podium decided in this one. Who's won the Class 3 for round one? Now, to be clear, these classes, just to clarify once again, everyone gets scored together, and that means that every position counts. Go on.
I'm going to set a very quick bit of homework
Oh, go
for
on.
you. Can you look up the number 37 had a spin coming out of the pits there? Now, there's no practice laps in this one. Does that mean that the number 37 now has to start from the back? No, they
No.
don't, because they haven't completely fallen to the back.
Correct. If they do it once they're in formation, yes.
Yes.
But I think they'll be fine just coming out the pits.
Yes. It's like the Formula 1 formation lap rule.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I say this as someone who did do that once.
yes.
Span out on a formation lap, but that was in the TKM era where if you span, you came to a stop.
Yes.
So Michael Reeder will get away with that one.
Yep.
But that'll be a heart-in-the-mouth
Quick getting
moment,
into
starting
position,
from 5th place.
We're good for a start already. They are in grid formation. Here we go then. Matt Ellis will lead them away in the number 28. The top two get up into the A final. Beyond that, it's scrapping for the best points you can get from the round. Away we go. Great start from the pole side of the grid. Really good. But there's a big instant there into the wall, and that's never a good thing to see there. That is by far and away the scruffiest start we've seen. There's a spin as well in the mid-pack. Everyone having to go wide in hairpin one to avoid. One of the drivers involved there is the 49.
It's George Lawler and restart. So
Yeah.
first time today we see the chevron flag come out.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you not aware of this one, that is a green flag with a yellow chevron on it to say that it's a false start. We go again.
Yeah, the real concerning one there was the driver who I think went into George. No, I don't want to speculate. It looked to me in the moment like it might have been Jake Wilkins, but I don't.
Yeah.
That's not confirmed at all because it happened all quite quickly. But hopefully all the drivers will get underway again. They've already.
What I think that was is that the inside line into turn one is still. You can just see the patches. It's still a little bit damp there. I think everyone just went a little bit too gung ho into turn one. Some of them ran wide, but no matter. Testament to the safety of these Club 100 carts. The grid will reform. We may see some time get knocked off though from the scheduled 12 minutes.
I'm happy to say all of the carts have already been cleared away from turn one, so I think all drivers okay, if not a little bit shaken up. But I think
I think you're right. It was the number 41 of Jake Wilkins who we saw come out of the cart.
Yeah.
But has quickly got back into the race. We're going to go from at least one more formation lap.
Yeah.
There's one cart, which I think may be George Lawler. That is not. Yeah, it is George Lawler. Could see on timing. Timing still ticks over and logs when carts come over the start line, and George hasn't come over the line for the last minute or so. He's on his feet, which is the most important.
Okay.
Now the team are just checking round to. Now, right, what I think's happened there is I think the impact has dislodged the battery.
Yeah.
So that's why his carts wasn't restarting. That's been sat back down.
So apologies.
Secured back in position, and he gets back underway.
Yeah. So apologies. I said that all the carts are cleared there, and clearly George hadn't. I think that was obscured by by a bit of track furniture for me there. So apologies for that. I just went out onto the balcony and had a look. But yeah, it looks like everybody's able to get underway. Man and
Say
machine.
that George Lawler is now going back into pit lane.
Okay. So he might need a kart swap there.
And I think he's going to miss the start as well. So here we go then.
Okay.
Take 2 for the B final. Steadier start. Dean Everest looking down the inside. The gap was open there, and Dean Everest went for it. Great move from third on the grid. Takes the lead into, and this is going to get messy again through hairpin number 1. Somehow they're all still facing in the right direction, but a very good start for Dean Everest. They're all squabbling. This is what it could get like in a B final sometimes, because there's only 2 spots, but they're all compromising their races here, Howard, because the top, what would you say, 6 or 7 are already breaking away.
Incident I just saw out the window, Andrew, through the S's. I think I just saw Matthew Cockram in the 18. He spun round, and what happened there was they all checked up. They were going 6 wide into the S's.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
I'm amazed it worked as well as it did, frankly, but they basically all bulked each other up. And very unusually, Matthew Cockram having to, in avoidance, he spun off to driver's right, heading towards Syme Sweep. He has recovered it and got underway again, but that was a
Oh,
costly
down the
moment for him.
inside. Matt Ellis going for one on Dean Everest. This is going to be a proper scrap, ladies and gentlemen, as Michael Reid is coming in now in the number 37. Remember, only 2 spots available to go through to the A final. There's a penalty for a restart off the grass for Adam Sheargold. So to explain that one, that's a provision and safety penalty for the karts. They do have clutches now, as someone's just sent the blue bollard spinning, but we don't want drivers starting karts on the grass and burning out the clutches potentially, so that's why that is a penalty.
Reader versus Britain versus McWilliam up the hill, Andrew. This is really tight here. Elbows are out.
Key point of the race now, Howard. Everest and Ellis have broken away because third, fourth, fifth and everybody else in this race keep fighting. This second group have to get themselves organised now, because Dean Everest, Matt Ellis, 2 quick drivers, very clever drivers as well, will just race off into the distance like we saw in the C final with the top 2, and that'll be it. That'll be repechage positions booked in and secured.
Andrew Rabbage with a really robust move there into hairpin 1 on this lap. You've got to be a little bit careful there lest you get a penalty, but it was I think it was on the right side of aggressive. But yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. They've got to calm it down and work together here. Otherwise, I mean, you know,
third place in the B final is as good as they're going to get here today.
Yep, exactly that. Here is Michael Reader in the 37. The 104 is Andrew McWilliam. And Adam Britton is in 5th place in the 43 with that blue suit and red and white helmet there.
Ooh, now, Matt Ellis was looking at Dean Everest. Now, that may have been because there was a mistake from Dean Everest off of hairpin number 2. But they tactically don't want to be fighting too much because they will fall into the clutches of Reader, McWilliam and Britton behind. And they have lost a significant amount of time through sector number 2, some 4 or 5 tenths, Howard.
Yeah, absolutely. And on such things these races can turn. They're going to... I think they should be good if they gather themselves back up again. But they don't want to do that too many more times, and that will have been the blood in the water for Reader and McWilliam behind. Make no mistake about it. And look, actually, how they are now getting onto the back of Matt Ellis here, Andrew. This is getting interesting again. I say this is turning into a 5-kart battle for the lead, if not at least a 4-kart battle for second place is starting to form up here. As there's a fastest lap from Adam Sheargold trying to recover his race after, well, he must have had some form of incident to get a restart on the grass penalty.
8 seconds covers the top 20 in this race at the moment. It is still all to play for. Quickly to check in with C3, we have 3 C3 novice drivers in this race. Currently the order of them is Sohayono, Lee and Sheargold. That would be your podium positions if it finished like this. There's none of them further up in the A final. C2 podium wise, plenty of C2s already into the A final, so we'll talk about that one later on. We're into the second half of time, although we did have 2 minutes taken off the front of this race, but again, treat start 1 as the first 2 minutes of this race. We're into the second half of the allotted time now. Contact warning for Jeremy Deeks.
Yeah, got to be careful. Got to be careful. There's been a few things out there as well. Josh Sangster has a cone warning. And there's someone else hitting the bollards there in the background as well. So as we say, new rule. Okay, you get a warning now. A warning's grace for cone penalties now. It's not just a straight, you hit the cone, you're deducted a place. But still, they've got to be careful here. This is really building up now. As Andrew said, the top 8. You know what, make that the top 9 at the moment, separated by just 3.2 seconds. As Dean Everest, there you go. That's a move, is it not? Matt Ellis has been passed there.
Yep.
That is Michael Reeder through, and I saw Matt Ellis's arm aloft there. You wasn't too happy with how that one went down, but that is a change for second place. Justin Draper, with the fastest lap of the race, is at the back of this pack. So here we go. There's Dean Everest, your leader, in the number 30. Then it is Michael Reeder in the 37, who has now got himself up into that promotion spot. Now Andrew McWilliam pounces to try and take second place. They're going to be side by side through the S's and up the hill, and round the outside swoops Michael Reeder to come back up into second place. He fought back on that one really nicely, and it's still the 37 in second.
This is really good work from Dean Everest. He's doing what he needs to do, just keeping his eyes forward, as we say, not getting flustered in this scenario. It is not easy leading one of these B finals, especially when it's a tight one like this, because you make one mistake, you're not going to lose one spot, you're going to lose more than 2, you're going to be outside. Oh, there's a penalty though for Michael Reeder. Penalty for Michael Reeder, ABC bump and pass. I imagine that's for the move that we saw about a lap ago. That's it, he's out. He cannot get through. McWilliam back down the inside, takes second place on the road beautifully through Garda. Very nice move from McWilliam. But to be clear, even if Michael Reeder, there it is on your screen, was to win this race on the road, that is a +4 penalty. The best he can hope for is 5th. That is not enough to get through to the A final.
Yeah, and I imagine that's for the move on Matt Ellis that we saw. The thing is, Matt Ellis might still be annoyed about it and won't necessarily know that that penalty has been applied. So this is an interesting one right here. But as you say, Andrew, the opportunity there is there now for McWilliam. If he can break away, then it doesn't matter what happens behind him. And he's effectively got a rear gunner in the form of the bepenalted, I've just made that word up, the bepenalted Michael Reeder. In avoidance there, that was Justin Draper. Yeah.
Jake Wilkins has got a track limit advantage penalty as well. Breaking down now in the group behind those. Look at this, McWilliam down the inside. What confidence! Brilliant move. Takes the lead of the race. Is the fastest driver on circuit now. If you're Dean Everest, don't respond. This is another driver you can work with now. This is a great opportunity for these two drivers to race off the front. It's getting very scrappy through hairpin number 2. Andrew Ravager's in the middle of it all.
Adam Britton, I think, has got to the head of that pack, Andrew, but he's carrying a contact warning. He's got to be careful. But it is indeed Adam Britton who's in 3rd place. But yeah, does someone just tell McWilliam there was a sail on? Where's that? That's just an amazing few laps that's seen him go up to the lead of this race.
And it could be a few laps that sees him through into the A final. Had a great start to the day. Took the pressure of starting race 1 from pole position in the random grid generation. And is now potentially racing through into an A final. Track limit warning for Michael Reeder. So, 2 minutes to go. Still time here for Britton, Ellis, Clark, Draper. If they can get themselves organised, Howard, they can close down that 1.8 second gap up to Dean Everest in that crucial second place.
And the interesting thing about the 4 drivers you just mentioned who've come to the 4 of that battle for 3rd, Andrew, is I don't think any of those drivers are carrying a penalty.
No.
Adam Britton, as I say, has a contact warning. That came through a few moments ago. But in theory, if they can work together, Dean Everest, I would say, is the... McWilliams just found some brilliant pace.
Yes.
And he's just pulling out here. But Everest, I would say, is the one... well, by definition, he's the one more under threat, being there in 2nd place.
Very close battle as well for C3, just to let you know. Yusuf Sohayono and Tommy Lee, the gap between them is 1/10 of a second. That's over 17th place overall. But top honours in the novice class will mean so much more to both of those drivers in their efforts here today. Contact warning for Michael Reeder. It's just slipping away for Michael Reeder. But this isn't, in a way, how it should be. It should be hard to get into an A final. Down the inside there.
Clark, that's Clark. Alan Clark coming down the inside there of Matt Ellis. And likewise, Justin Draper in the 35 fancies his chances and does so up the inside of Garda. Now Andrew Rabbage will be all over Matt Ellis. He must be feeling a little bit punch drunk at this point, is Ellis, because it's been a very eventful race for him.
Michael Reeder, unfortunately, has picked up another ABC bump and pass penalty, so I believe that means that he will be excluded from the results per the new regulations.
That's a good point.
15 seconds to go. What a drive this has been. One of the drives of the day so far by anybody. Andrew McWilliam leads by 0.8 of a second over Dean Everest. Dean Everest, though, crucially, the pace has been good. He's been calm. He's been collected using the experience. He's quite an experienced driver now, which makes me feel old because I remember when he first came in. But 2 seconds is the gap thereabouts that he's got over third place. The checkered flag is out. Adam McWilliam brilliantly races through to the A final. Dean Everest joins him. Third place for Adam Britton. Fourth for Aaron Clark. Fifth for Justin Draper. At least it'll be good championship points to kick off their seasons. Sixth for Matt Ellis. Seventh for Andrew Rabbage. Eighth for Christian Lehner. All of those C2 drivers beating home a couple of C1s. Samuel Essery finishes 9th. Hussein Rashid finishes 10th. Ben Lambeth has had a difficult day but recovers to 11th in the B. 12th for Russell Cooper. Jake Wilkins 13th. Kim Ely 14th. Joshua Sangster completes the top 15. Michael Reeder, well, had the pace, didn't quite have the racecraft, but we'll work on that. 16th for Michael Reeder here today. And a move right at the end. C3 goes to Tommy Lee. Just on the line, beats home Yusuf Sohayono by 0.136 of a second. So Tommy Lee is your C3 winner here today at Buckmore Park in the lightweights. Yusuf Sohayono in second in C3. That's 17th and 18th overall in the B. Dan Gurkot raced well here today, and from the C final in the end finishes 19th in the B. Nicholas Lacasas finishes in the top 20. Adam Sheargold will complete the C3 podium here in lightweights. 21st overall for Adam in the B final. Matthew Cockram finishes in 22nd. Sam Morris, Thomas Barrett and Jeremy Deeks complete the 25 drivers that were running there at the end in the B.
Well deserved by Tommy Lee. He's been driving really well today. I think we've seen Adam Sheargold's been driving well, obviously Sohayono as well, but to have gotten to the B final is no bad thing there for our novice drivers, but brilliant stuff from Tommy Lee. Had great pace throughout the day. And yeah, fair play to him. Right, well next we're looking ahead to the big one then for our lightweights here today at Buckmore Park. It will be the A final coming up next here on your Alpha Live stream.
Here we go then for the big one, the first lightweight sprint A final of 2023. And on his return to the Club 100 Sprints Championship, Rob Newman has pole position, a perfect score of 90 points from this morning's racing. And he took that pole position actually virtue of his fastest lap, because Matt Wileman joins him on the front row, having also won 3 races from a possible 3 this morning. This is the first time those two drivers have met, of course, here in the A final. Mike Coppin won here in the A final last time out to bring a close to the 2022 season. Can he start 2023 with an A final win? He's got to do it from row 2. Dante Dillon joins him on that second row of the grid. Ed Bards also returning to the championship here today. Starts on row 3 alongside Steph Theodori, who's had a really strong start to his season. Sam Lovelace and Christopher Powell start on the 4th row of the grid. Yusuf Bin Sahel and Chris Woodger will go from row 5. Stephen Westwood and Dan Seeger start on the 6th row of the grid. And then we find Anwar Barul Smith in a slightly unaccustomed 7th place, row 7 position, 13th place alongside Ashley White. What can the reigning heavyweights champion do from there? Harrison Kirkham, one of the youngest drivers in this field, starts on row 8 alongside Bryn Alban. Charlie Summers and Callum Martin go from row number 9. Luke Phillips and Oliver Johnson start on row 10. James Martin and Josh Wood start on row 11. And the last 2 automatic qualifiers starting on row 12 are Andrew Ord and Andy Orford from their efforts in the heats early on today. And to confirm, 2 drivers from the B final will form up row 13, and they are Andrew McWilliam and Dean Everest. Howard.
The ingredients are good, aren't they?
Yeah.
That is one heck of an A final grid. I think, okay, for me this could go 2 ways. and therefore now watch how I get egg on my face and it goes in a completely different third way. But either this is going to be one amazing tangle at the front with someone like Anwar Smith trying to buy in at the end.
Yep.
Or I do just like Rob Newman's pace has been something else.
Yep.
I think if he can get the jump at the start, he might be able to control this one in a very impressive manner. We'll wait and see. I say that, you know, pole position has been decided by 1/10 of a second. So across the heat. So make no mistake, you know, this is the creme de la creme of the lightweights. But I don't know. I feel like that's the two ways it could go. Going to be interesting to see how Anwar Smith does coming through the field. It's going to be interesting to see how Andrew Ward does coming through the field as well. Bear in mind that he lost out through an incident. We didn't catch it on the cameras, but something befell his second heat, I think, in the S's on lap number 1. So going to be interesting to see how he comes through as well.
Thank you very much, guys. Really great engagement so far today. We've hit 100 likes on the Alpha Live stream. If you've just tuned in, hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell from Double Dash Motorsport Media on commentary duties here today. We've also got our Cons Box Cam live over on the DDMM YouTube channel. Hello, everybody who's watching that. Let us know in the chat streams, who do you think is going to win this A final? Hello to the Drum Vader. It says well done to Adam Britton, James Britton and Dan Grocott. Did the Zesty Drink Racing Endurance team proud.
Indeed.
All the results from today's action and all of yesterday's as well for the SB60 and the endurance competitions. Results.alphatime.co.uk/club100, which if you've not been on it so far this year, it's had a bit of a refresh. Doing some decorating. It looks very nice. And it still has all the archive of results from previous years for you as well. A couple of kart changes. We should explain, that you're not missing any racing. You're probably like, why are they not talking about the racing? This is not racing. This is just warm-up practice that is what you get when you get through to the A final. And some drivers will come in and go, no, I don't quite like this kart, how it's suiting me at the moment, so I'll go in and go for another one. Now, the risk, of course, is you could get one that you don't like even more. And this is all down to driving style, because whilst the karts are all built to the same specification, you get subtle differences over time between the karts. And what I would say, though, is once again, the preparation of the karts ahead of this first round, impeccable from the Club 100 team down in Sittingbourne, not too far from here.
Nope. This has not been the biggest trip they'll make by quite a long way.
I think it was, what is it, earlier when I said in the B final that the top 20 is covered by 8 seconds.
Yes. I believe, and yeah, and by the way as well, I think the feedback has been that the new tyres as well really helped to close this competition up as well.
Yes.
So the parity between these karts twinned with that, I think, has been a really nice.
It's what I've heard from the drivers. I've not experienced these new tyres myself yet, but that is what I hear, that the baseline grip is a little bit higher, better, easier to extract as a driver than perhaps on the Bridgestone on YDS tyre.
Yep.
Having said that, look at the drivers who are at the front of this field: Newman, Wildman, Coppin, Dillon, Bars. These are all drivers who are quick on the old Bridgestone YDSs.
Yep.
Still fine margins that these drivers are able to extract, and we're under starters orders now for 12 minutes here at Buckmore Park, round 1 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championship for 2023. Pace kart will pull off to driver's left. Eyes will be on those lights. Rob Newman has the command to take this race through past the green line, and away we go for the A final. Very good start for those on the pole side of the grid. Coppin already up to P2, Bars up to P3. Not a good start for Matt Wildman. Goes from second down to fourth. It's now under attack from Sam Lovelace. Yusuf Bin Sahale's getting involved as well. That's an awful start for anyone who was on the anti-pole side of the grid. Good start though for Rob Newman. And oh, here comes Coppin. Coppin attacks and takes the lead early on here. We've seen the aggressive Mike Coppin
He wants to win this championship this year, but Newman comes back on him. Down the inside, contact between the two of them as they go through paddock corner. Bars is now down the inside of Newman. What a start, Howard, to this A final.
Yeah, do you know what I think it was? Just as they were rounding Cafe whilst they were under starters' orders, I think Matt Wildman was slightly spooked by the fact that he seemed to be quite a way ahead of Newman, and he definitely didn't want to get that jump start penalty. I don't know it for a fact, but I just sensed that he was hesitant about that. And then
Bars wide.
Penalty. Yeah, Bars is wide indeed. Newman down the inside. And they're side by side now heading towards hairpin 2. Surely Newman will be able to hold the advantage on the inside there. So it's now Coppin, Newman, Bars and Lovelace, your top 4.
I think Yusuf bin Sahel has got through into P5 as well. Really good performance so far from the former York University BUKC driver. But it's Coppin from Newman, Bars, Lovelace, bin Sahel. And I think Anwar Barul Smith is on the move as well. He started on the 7th row of the grid. He's already up into 10th place.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll need to... I said Andrew Ward's been on the move as well, Andrew, up to 16th at the moment. Here we go for the lead into turn number 1. Rob Newman, there's pod-to-pod contact there. But Rob Newman's going to be through. I don't think Mike Coppin's too happy about that. Ed Barr's now down the inside on Coppin as well. So even if Rob Newman wanted to redress the balance there to avoid a penalty, he can't. And now Lovelace, that was always going to be a bit bold. He chopped his line too shallow there, I think, to try and get through on Coppin, but wanted to avoid contact with Coppin and Bars. So it is now Rob Newman to the head of the field. Here's the opportunity then for the driver of the number 13 kart, the former Sheffield University driver in the BUKC. And there's a hit on the bollards there, so someone might be getting a cone warning. I think that might have been Lovelace, who's dropped off the back and is under attack by bin Sahel. Bin Sahel side by side with Lovelace up the hill, and there's going to be opportunity for Matt Wildman as well. They may even be 3 abreast coming up to Cafe. Who's going to be in 3rd place? It's the 79 of Lovelace still. Bin Sahel has been passed though. Dante Dillon has got through on bin Sahel and Wildman there. So it's Dante Dillon up into 5th place in the number 3.
I'd say we don't want to look at the replay of Rob Newman's move, but there's so much going on in this race, I fear we might miss something. But that is definitely going to be a talking point afterwards. Anwar Barul Smith, ominously, is the fastest driver on circuit at the moment. He's in P7 now because he's got past Matt Wildman in the early stages of this race. There's your top 3 still. Newman, Bars and Coppin. Lovelace in 4th. Dante Dillon in 5th. 2 younger drivers who've both come through the BUKC in recent years. Yusuf bin Sahel, you can join in amongst that group as well. Ed Bars looking to the inside of Rob Newman. Newman gives him the space. Bars takes the lead, but only for 1 corner. Newman, brilliant racecraft. He's definitely not lost it. He knew with the speed that Bars had on the approach through turn 1 that he was going to run wide through turn 2. Brilliant switchback from Newman. He retains the lead.
Yeah, I'm delighted to say, though, I was wrong to say that he had the pace good enough to run away with it. This is brilliant. They're able to take the fight to each other here are Newman, Bars and Coppin. And behind them, the pace ain't too shabby either. Take it from me. But Dante Dillon has got by on Lovelace. There has been a change for 4th place there in the background. It's now the number 3 up in 4th, the number 79 in 5th. As they come round to finish another lap then. Once again, are we going to see a carbon copy of last lap? No, we're not, because Newman's going to go tighter on the line into 1 to deter any move there from Ed Bars this time around. Fastest lap of the race from Dante Dillon, a 46.053 in his pursuit of this top 3 who have broken away slightly to this point in the race. But yeah, Newman was wise to that. He knows that Ed Bars had a strong run up the hill. Bars' good exit off of the Garda Senna complex at the bottom part of the circuit where they're heading towards right now. Through paddock corner they go. And you can see Dante Dillon and Sam Lovelace pushing like crazy in the background.
And he's gone purple in sector number 2. This is the form that we've seen for Dante Dillon. Very different race format to what we've had in the BUKC. This is not a 25-minute sprint Enduro or even a 60-minute Enduro that Dante did solo at PFI a few weeks ago. This is a 12-minute sprint, but the form that he's been in, the speed that he's had, he's showing it again here in the sprints at Buckmore Park. He is the fastest driver on circuit, 2/10 quicker than Mike Coppin last time around.
And Barul Smith and Wildman here on your shot now, they get they know the deal as well. They're working together for now. This could become a 7-horse battle for the lead of this race. I feel a bit sorry for Yusuf bin Sahel. He's trying to cling on to this. He's the highest placed Class 2 driver, actually. Don't feel like Yusuf.
By quite a distance
by
as
quite
well.
a distance. The pace is just really, really good ahead of him, that he's struggling to keep on terms with these guys. but he is driving really well. Make no mistake about it.
I know it's only round one.
Yeah.
Does this race not have like BUKC Super Final feel to it?
Does.
Just in the level of pace and competition that we've got here. 7 C1 drivers at the top of their game, even in these early stages of the year.
It's closing up, Andrew. The top 7 separated by 3 seconds at this point now. And Anwar Barul-Smith, you would have seen on your screens there, the fastest lap of the race last time around. They're pushing each other along here. Dante Dillon's broken away a little bit from Sam Lovelace. It doesn't really... There's Anwar down the inside, or up the inside, one should say, at Garda of Sam Lovelace. So he felt that the pace wasn't strong enough from Sam there. And Wildman's followed through as well. Lovelace will try and stay with them. They are generally working together unless they feel that their charge is compromised, in which case, fair play to Anwar. He is acting decisively with these moves. And Sam Lovelace will know the score as well. He'll try and slot in here. But it's Dante Dillon for me, Andrew, who's really starting to push up onto the back of the top 3 here, who themselves are holding station for now.
This phase of the race, it's all about rate of progress. Irrespective of where you are in the order, you've got a goal. Are you moving towards it? What's Dante Dillon's pace like at the moment? Well, the thing is, the top 3 have responded.
Yeah.
They're all in the 45.9 to the 46.0s at the moment. 5 minutes to go. This has been a very, very good first A final of the year so far. Mike Coppins looking for a move up the inside of Ed Bars for P2. Holds it to the inside. Just held back a little bit there to make sure he didn't run out wide. Through the second phase, through Henry's Bend. Very good move there by Mike Coppin, but he's wide out of and through hairpin number 2. He's got it back together, but that's a big, potentially big moment in this race, Howard, because Rob Newman has now, for the first time in probably the whole race, got a lead of, I would say, about 6 or 7 tenths.
Yeah, this is his opportunity. If that doesn't look like much of a gap, that's something that Newman can work with. He really can, and Coppin and Bars now have to call a ceasefire. They have to work together to reel him back in, otherwise they're going to lose touch with him. That's how frenetic the pace is here. If you are going to do moves, you almost have to... It's almost like a tennis rally, right? You're not always trying... Sometimes it is right just to return a forehand and keep the rally going and not go for the killer shot at all points. You know, they've got to call quits for a bit and get back on it. Dante Dillon still pushing hard, and you can see we've seen consecutive fastest laps from Matt Wildman as well. He's pushing himself and Anwar Barul-Smith as hard as they can, but such are the margins here, and I don't know if they're going to do it. It depends how much battling goes on here amongst the top 3.
And how much help they get from behind as well, because Dante Dillon has upped the pace again. He's gone purple through sector number 2 again. Can he take more time out and join the back of the Coppin Bars train? There he is. He's straining to get into the picture, quite literally. Anwar Barul-Smith is still there as well. He's the fastest driver on circuit, 45.723 for Anwar Barul-Smith. 3.25 minutes to go. Still can't call this one, Howard.
No, absolutely not. I have to say, Sam Lovelace, he's doing his best to stay in touch with them, but he's... this is a... I agree with what you said about a super final feel to it, mate. The pace amongst this top 6, that is in no way to take... Oh, there's a clip of the bollard there from Mike Coppin.
I think
got to be careful there.
I think he just got away with that one.
Yeah.
But he's definitely on the ragged edge.
But I think Rob Newman is really ragging everything out of this car.
And let's not forget, when we talk about Super Final, we refer to the very last race of a BUKC championship season, when you get your 3 classes of the individual drivers championship. You get the top 10 from each. You have a 30 driver race, and it's always one of the races of the year. Rob Newman has won that race in the past. He is a former BUKC. That's a big off. That is a very, very big off. That's Stephen Westwood.
It is, yeah.
Stephen Westwood has had a huge off up at turn 1, I think it is. Now, that is going to neutralise one of the big overtaking opportunities of this circuit. 2 minutes to go.
Yeah,
I have not seen a Club 100 kart that deep in the tyres. And again, testament to the karts, testament to this circuit. That has gone in hard, ladies and gentlemen, and Stephen Westwood is able to walk away.
It's still all closing up, though, amongst these top 6, Andrew. This is this could be really interesting. We're inside the last 2 minutes now. it's going to take something supreme to knock Rob Newman off. I know it's only maybe, what, 2-3 kart lengths? It's enough for him to work with. If there's any battling behind him, it's his to lose. It's his to lose, but look how it's closing up now. Look at this. This is going to be something else for the next couple of laps. I should say we did see Stephen Westwood getting out of the car. He seems okay, so that's great to see. And I think they may have cleared that now going into turn 1.
2 laps to go then. 2 more laps for Rob Newman on his Club 100 Sprints return. Don't get tight now. Don't lose that fluidity that he's had throughout the whole day. But Mike Coppin is closing here, and Mike Coppin has won races in this situation around this circuit from this very position before. We saw it a few months ago when he beat last year's champion Fraser Brunton in a 1v1 round this circuit to culminate the 2022 season. They're going to see the last lap board in a moment's time. Mike Coppin has a little nibble there on the rear bumper of Rob Newman, but Rob Newman's resisted. 1 more lap to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's Newman, Coppin, Bars, Dillon, Barul, Smith and Wildman. Now Rob Newman's having to defend hard. He's got to get it down. Make sure there's no gap through hairpin number 1. He's done that. Dillon up to 3rd.
Yep, Dante Dillon and Matt Wildman's having to go at Anwar Barul Smith for 5th as well as they come through hairpin number 2. It's Dante Dillon now secured in 3rd place as Ed Bars is having to go side by side with the likes of Wildman and Barul Smith. Still it's Rob Newman coming down the hill. Mike Coppin's heading towards, and he's going on the inside of there. That's unusual. He'll be on the outside for Paddock Corner. He's going to go wide, and is that going to provide an opportunity for Dante Dillon?
It is. I have never seen a move like that done before. Mike Coppin's going to come round the final corner. He won to finish 2022. He wins to start 2023. Mike Coppin takes round 1 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championship with a... I have never seen anyone pull a move like that. Watch this on the second part of Syme's sweep. That is unbelievable. I have never, genuinely, I've been watching Club 100 racing for over 10 years. I have never seen that move pulled off.
Now, I want to be clear. The first part, where he's on the left-hander, as far as I'm concerned, track limit's not a problem. His rear right tyre is on the right. Bizarrely, because he's kicking out the rear right tyre is within track limits.
It's in track limits, yeah.
My only question, it was a great move. My only question to play devil's advocate, any advantage gained by being wide out of paddock is my only question for that.
Yes.
That's my devil's advocate point.
Yep.
I'm not calling it. I'm just asking the question because Rob Newman was sort of bulked on the inside. I don't know. I really don't know with that one.
Well,
but that's my only doubt. But make no mistake, that was a great move, a really good move, and a fantastic fight. What a drive from all those drivers, but that was superb from Mike Coppin. You could feel, I could hear the sigh of relief in his helmet as he came over the line then. That was something else.
Well, Mike Coppin, provisionally, with a capital P.
I know, sorry. I'm just
has taken the win by half a second ahead of Dante Dillon and Rob Newman. What a performance from Rob Newman today, and from Ed Bars as well, both of them returning to the championship after a while out. Anwar Barul Smith is 5th. That's a heck of a drive in a very high quality final from 13th on the grid. Matt Wildman should be proud of his efforts here today as well in P6. And I think we need to keep an eye on race control messages. We'll come back to that in a moment. Sam Lovelace, P7. Christopher Powell, P8. Yusuf Bin Sahel. We've seen Yusuf build and build and build. He always had the speed when we saw him race for York in the BUKC, mainly in the BUKC Inters. He's a driver who's in some way gone under the radar from the BUKC ranks because he was never part of a team that was mains quality. A C2 win. He is just, you know, the speed was there, but to say 12 months ago, the style of racing that you need to do well here in sprints wasn't quite there. He's learnt so much, and he's a fully deserving winner of C2 there with the 9th place overall finish. Joining him on the C2 podium will be Steph Theodoru in P10 overall, second on the podium in C2. Harrison Kirkham as well in that same regard. Great result there for Harrison Kirkham, 11th overall, 3rd in C2. Bryn Albon 12th. Andrew Ward from the back of the grid finishes in 13th. Good recovery there for the driver who finished in 6th place in the championship last year. 14th for Dan Seeger, 15th for Ashley White. Charlie Summers 16th.
Andrew McWilliam, having had a great drive in the B final, finishes 17th in the A. Superb performance in the top 5 in C2. Luke Phillips 18th, James Martin 19th, Chris Woodger 20th, Josh Wood, Dean Everest, Oliver Johnson, Callum Martin, Andy Orford and Stephen Westwood was your provisional order. Of course, that is before any penalties are applied. Howard, I am shaking. That was such a start to the A finals here this year. That is a big one. But we have had some post-race changes, haven't we? Already served through.
We really have, and that's big. So, hear this. There is a track limits warning, penalty, to be clear, that's been applied to Mike Coppin there. So that has docked him 2 positions, and that means that Dante Dillon has been awarded with the win. So that was Dante Dillon with that. And do you know what it reminded me of, Andrew? I want to say 2019. I want to say the heavyweight A final. There was a big battle that we had in that round between Joe Holmes and Steve Brown. And I want to say it went the same way, where there was a question over this. So that's fine. That's great. But it's this bit here.
That bit.
He goes wide. Ooh.
So it's the accelerating out wide, and it's the very penalty that we talked about earlier of the I've been hit off. I'm not saying that Mike did that.
No,
he wasn't throwing his arms in the air or anything of that regard. But we do see that sometimes is if you are side by side, you have to make a genuine attempt to get back in underneath and not just use the advantage of the pit lane exits tarmac effectively. That is what the penalty, we assume, has been given for.
Yeah. And
I am just going to check through. It is Dante's first A final win since round 7 last year. But his first as a C1 driver as well, the driver who finished 3rd in the championship last year. And in a way, I'm not surprised. That would have been a good bet at the start of the day because of the form we have seen Dante in through the BUKC so far this year.
I'm sure Mike Coppin's about to thank me for playing devil's advocate. But no, I mean, it was in question. It's always a difficult one when that's how the move gets made. And the argument from race control would be, well, you opened up the steering, gave yourself a longer run out of that corner up the hill.
And held the position on corner exits. That's the decision that's been made, though. What a morning and early afternoon session we've had here at Buckmore Park for the first round of Club 100 Sprints. And we're not done here, folks, because we're going to do it all again later on this afternoon for the heavyweights. I do hope you join us for that. We're going to have a short lunch break now. The streams will keep going, so you don't need to go anywhere. Just leave them ticking in the background. And be back in a bit for the heavyweights. My name's been Andrew Mather. He's been Howard Mitchell. Together we are Double Dash Motorsport Media. We will see you very shortly for the heavyweights. hold that gap. Isaac Lorden's got past Ben Page now. That's for 7th place. Joe Weaver into crucial Iredale's corner. Has Davis got the run? He's not going to be able to get the run surely down here into the Stuart Essen, but he's got the run, he's gone for a big move. Switchback by Weaver, read it beautifully, saw it coming, kept the steering open, let Ben Davis come into the inside, and he still held on to the lead. That was brilliant racing by all three of them here, and I think that's going to be the crucial moment, because Joe Weaver, unlike 24 hours ago, is not going to need to do the overtake on the last lap. Joe Weaver takes the double in Senior Rotax Round 2 of Super 1 2022. Line on row 11, Jake Wilkins and Andrew Ravage on row 12, and then we'll have our 2 qualifiers from the B final. Bryn Albin and Dean Everest form up the 26 entries for this, the lightweight sprint A final for round 9 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprints Championship. 12 minutes on the clock. Green light, great start for Mike Coppin, sweeps across the front. It's a hugely important race this for the championship at the start of the run into the end of the season. Coppin versus Brunton, early advantage, Howard, to Mike Coppin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last tour of the circuit. White flag is going to be out this time. If they get past the line, it will run to the end. There they go. Oh, it's a big moment for Chris Hansen. He's gone round. Is that going to take anybody else? Yes, it does. Kelly Wright's gone. Hart's gone. Dix has gone. My goodness me, the race is going to keep running though. It's not going to go under caution now. On the last lap, it's 3 of them. Sanders has the lead. He's going to hold the inside. There's not really much help for Brenton at all. He's going to try and get the side trap working here. He's pulling alongside. They're side by side as they come through turn 4. It's going to be a run to the line here for the Simply Catnip 200. It's really close between them. Is Sanders going to hold it? Oh, there's a bit of contact there on the line. It's a photo finish. It's a photo finish. It's Preston. It's Michael.
Stages of this race. Ross Witherow is digging deep again. Has got down to a 32.435 now. It's about a tenth of an. Oh, he's gone for it. Big send. My goodness me. Ross Witherow, brave as anything, on the brakes into the final corner, takes the lead of the race. That was a superb, awesome overtake, and now is Ryan McGinnis going to respond back here? He's looking for the inside now. 6 minutes have expired. That came from miles back from Ross Witherow. Kevin Shine is continuing to go round, by the way. Really, he can drive, he's just not got a lot of power in the number 22. And oh my God, down the outside attempting. That is an outrageous manoeuvre. Oh, we saw one lap ago. That was even better from Ryan McGinnis. And over the line to take the racing room left by Whitefoot on the outside there. Good news for David Whitehouse. I think he's got away. He just needs to get through Ascari chicane and Curva Alboreto, and he's got a great result here. Tom Dix just holding in front of Steve Hicks there. Dix and Hicks at the moment on the outside of the top 10. They need to get up 2 positions if you're Steve Hicks to get on the front row for contact. That's going to be a big one. Into the wall goes Dix and Hicks. Through goes Ian Sumner.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to live coverage on Alpha Live of the 6th and final round for Rotax Max Challenge Switzerland 2022. My name's Andrew Mather. Great to be with you here at the historic Kart Barn Vollen circuit on the 1st of October 2022. We're here in northern Switzerland for this season finale, and it's got all the ingredients to be an absolute cracker here today. Here's your circuit, 815 metres in length, 12 turns, technical, in its 60th year as well, 60 years of racing here at Vollen. The circuit established in 1962.
It's Michael Lenz. Oh, Michael Lenz, who had a great finish to heat number 2. Something has gone wrong for him there, and he is out of this race. That's a real shame for Michael Lenz. The driver he overtook for the lead on the last lap of heat number 2 goes by him. Samuel Ifrid, what a season it has been. He's going to finish it in the best way. The junior champion for the last 2 years. Was at Grand Final in 2021. He's going to be there again in 2022 as the senior Rotax Max champion. Samuel Ifrid takes the win here at Vollen. Kurt Wenger is going to take the win in Master Max.
final lap of the 2022 Mini Rock Super Final here at Lonato. Cantan's down the inside, going for the move into turn 4, takes the lead. Has he overshot? It's going to be side by side between the two AV Racing drivers as they approach turn 5. Will be advantage Cantan on the inside, holds onto the lead, but Cosma Christopher is charging along, has closed the gap. This is not over yet. Kalea still there in second place. They're heading towards the last few hairpins now. Cantan defends to the inside. Kalea still there in second. Cosma Christopher can smell that remarkable victory. Cantan's still got the lead of this race. He's got to defend down the inside into the last corner. Get the drive off the final corner. Who's going to be Mini Rock champion for 2022? It's going to be Vivek Cantan. And the title stays in North America for another year. Vivek Cantan wins the lead of the race. Cook is still there in second. Carter's still there in third. They slightly banged wheels. Carter around the outside takes second place. One more opportunity. You've got to think James Roots is still in there as well for the race win. Grayson Wortley, he's got to defend down the inside into Wilkins. He's done just that. He's got to get off the corner. Oh, they're going to be 3 wide. Coming off the corner. Ronnie Carter's gone round the outside. Ronnie Carter becomes champion in the 2022 Super One Miami Bambino Championship with a last corner overtake. Have you ever seen a championship decided like that? What a race win. It's not going to be his first one of the year. Joe Holmes knows the situation. Richard Allen is going to win at Buckmore Park, but for the first time since 2015, Anwar Barul Smith wins a...
Can he hold that gap? Isaac Lauden's got past Ben Page now. That's for 7th place. Go either into crucial Idell's corner. Has Davis got the run? He's not going to be able to get the run surely down here into the Stuart Essence, but he may... Oh, he's got the run! He's got the run! Big move! Switchback by Weaver. Read it beautifully, saw it coming, kept the steering open, let Ben Davis come into the inside, and he still held on to the lead. That was brilliant racing by all 3 of them here, and I think that's going to be the crucial moment, because Joe Weaver, unlike 24 hours ago, is not going to need to do the overtake on the last lap. Joe Weaver takes the double in Senior Rotax Round 2 of Super One 2022.
Line on row 11, Jake Wilkins and Andrew Ravage on row 12, and then we'll have our 2 qualifiers from the B final. Bryn Albin and Dean Everest form up the 26 entries for this, the lightweight sprint A final for round 9 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprints Championship. 12 minutes on the clock. Green light, great start for Mike Coppin, sweeps across the front. It's a hugely important race this for the championship at the start of the run into the end of the season. Coppin versus Brunton, early advantage, Howard, to Mike Coppin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last tour of the circuit. White flag is going to be out this time if they get past the line.
What's going to be the command given to the starter guy? It's good for a go. Bosley will be at the back. Here we go then. Joe Holmes in the 1, Burrell Smith in the 2, Phil Ingram with nothing to lose in the 167 on third on the grid, Richard Allen alongside him. Then it's Chris Alcock and Tim Williams that at the third row of the grid. Here we go then. Who's going to be our champion? It's a strong start from pole. That definitely wasn't a jump start for Anwar, but indeed Phil Ingram has immediately slotted into second place, and that's crucial there for the start there as Chris Alcock challenges Dickie Allen as well over fifth place in the background. They look to be clean so far through hairpin 1, although they're 4 wide there. Paul Williams out wide there, I can see. As they come through hairpin 2, though, it is Joe Holmes in first, Phil Ingram in second, and Anwar Brule-Smith in third.
Right, I think what was going through the mind of Anwar there is take this steady. I don't want to get forced out wide. I'll take third place right now and know I only have to overtake one driver and not end up 4th, 5th, 6th and with a lot of work to do. I saw Alex Pritchard do that earlier. Joe Bailey, penalty, track limits advantage. That'll have been out of hairpin number 2 or down at paddock corner. But here we go, end of lap number 1. Joe Holmes leads, Phil Ingram second, Anwar Brule-Smith third. If the race was to finish like this, Joe Holmes would make it 6 championships in a row. Anwar Brule-Smith would not take his first title since 2015 in the sprints.
Does Alan have vested interest in terms of bagging second in the championship, or is it not?
No, he's out.
Oh, okay.
He's out of that battle
he had
already.
Coming out at hairpin 2 there, Dickie Allen grabbed the back of his helmet about something there. Not sure what that was. He's carrying on at pace, though. But yeah, and I have to say, Joe Holmes has already moved away at the front here. If he is going to start, here's the move. Anwar Brule-Smith up the inside of Garda and through on Phil Ingram and gives that gesture to say, let's work together. Let's work together. Maybe, to be fair, maybe that's what Dickie Allen was saying to Chris Alcock out of hairpin 2. Penalty for Lenny Wood. Advantage by track limits.
There's so many different ways they could tactically play this. So if you're Joe Holmes, you've bolted off the front. 1.5 seconds is the gap. Are you almost trying to bait Anwar into pushing and making a mistake? We've already seen some top caliber drivers make mistakes. Dickie Allen's...
It was earlier in the day, though. The track conditions are totally different now. I think it's a risky strategy to bet on Anwar making a mistake. I take your point, but honestly, if I'm Joe Holmes now, as Dickie Allen's having a look at Phil Ingram now as well, so Richard Allen up to third place. If you're Joe Holmes at the moment, the difficulty is that if you did back Anwar back, and we're assuming, by the way, that that's doable. That's not an easy thing to do because it's not,
especially round here.
Yeah, it's in a hard trap for overtaking. It's very difficult to push drivers back, but in theory, you could do it. The issue is that he's going to push him back into. I mean, this cluster here of Allen, Ingram, and Alcock, they're going to be piranhas snapping at your heels if you back Anwar into that. And the risk is that some exchange takes place where Joe Holmes, ends up lower than second or behind Anwar. That's the risk. That's the risk.
Kurt Holmes, the situation for him, 9th place at the moment. Is more than doing the job at the moment in C2. Currently on the live score has got 1,434 points. Mikey Nichols has 1,413. Chris Alcock looking down the inside of Phil Ingram there. Penalty for Steve Bosley, which we'll come on to in a minute. Ingram trying to fight back as they go back towards hairpin 1. Ingram will have the inside line on Alcock and holds on to 4th place. The penalty for Steve Bosley was for track limits.
Have we covered the fact Mikey Nichols is ahead of Kurt Holmes in the order?
Yes, but it's not enough. The thing for Kurt Holmes is he's gaining a lot of points because he's had some dropped scores and missed rounds. He's actually scoring a lot of points by having this result. So he's looking comfortable at the moment. Mikey Nichols still needs to win the race overall to take the C2 title.
Fastest lap of the race from Anwar Brule-Smith did reel in the gap to Joe Holmes a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe Joe Holmes is playing as fair. He's playing a very straight bat on this one, just going, you know what, I push as hard as I can. But as it stands, if he does not do something tactically, as Andrew was referring, 2016 Formula One, when Lewis Hamilton started to try and back Nico Rosberg back into the pack, if he doesn't do something like that, as it currently stands, he is not winning this championship. There's Anwar Brule-Smith. Richard Allen there in the number 26. What a season he's had. It's only for a few race results that he himself is not in this fight as well for the outright win of the championship. Phil Ingram's still doing well there to hold off Chris Alcock. Tim Williams